Hello, hello. Can you hear me now? Yes, you can. Oh, man. What's up, guys? I was talking, and you couldn't hear me because my program switched my microphone because I updated my computer like an idiot. But you can hear me now. I know you can hear me now. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and I forgot to change the title of the stream when it originally happened, and it still says, like, Aaron Rodgers watched day 6. That's not true at all. We're not watching for Aaron Rodgers. We know that Aaron Rodgers wants to be a Jet, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about free agency. Free agency has been going on, and it's pretty wild. We're also going to talk about the draft because that's like a month away. We got a lot of things to go over. Let's say hi to some people in the chat. What is going on? Dakota was the first person to say here. Might not even happen. Think it will be. CT Jets fan in the house. Aaron Gertz in the house. Dark Soldier in the house. Abby, Aaron Rodgers for $5. I love it. Welcome, Boycott Activision. If we give up a first for Rodgers, I will blame Jets fans. Prepare yourselves. Tigo, this music. Dude, I need to find music that I can play that doesn't blow people's minds, okay, and doesn't absolutely annihilate my channel. That's a song that I can use, and it won't blow up my channel. And you only have to deal with it for like 2 minutes. You can just mute the stream. And then I come in. Boom, there it is. Dark, you can mute it. And then he telling me that I'm muted. Jack Talks Jets in the house. I can't hear you. Yeah, I was muted. That's on me. We need the best offensive line available in the draft. That's not necessarily true, Abby. While a lot of people are going to look at this draft class and be like, hey, you know what? At 13, we should take the best offensive lineman in the draft, yada, 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 yada. Like, the reality is that I feel really comfortable with our tackle room. If I'm being honest. I feel really comfortable with our tackle room. While Boycott Activision makes a good point that we do have a tackle room full of guys coming back we have 3 guys coming back from injuries or medical conditions, right? And Mekhi Becton, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Max Mitchell. And then one guy who's old in Dwayne Brown, also coming off of surgery in Dwayne Brown. Like, we have to remember that the likelihood of everything falling apart again at the offensive tackle position, like, we lost 4 guys at the offensive tackle position essentially last year. We lost Max Mitchell, Elijah Vera Tucker, Mekhi Becton, George Fant, and I'm going to say 5 guys because Dwayne Brown was playing with one shoulder, right? And while I'm not saying that you can bank on Mekhi Becton, I'm not saying you can bank on Max Mitchell, I'm not even saying I even want Elijah Vera Tucker to play tackle. And this isn't me saying don't draft tackle. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we shouldn't pigeonhole ourselves to where it's like it has to be tackle at 13. Because these tackles are going to continue to rise up the boards. Paris Johnson Jr. is a very polished player. I think he's going to end up in Chicago. We all know that the Titans need a tackle, and so they can take a tackle at, I think they're at 8 is where they're at, 9? I don't remember where they're at. But they can take a tackle as well, and I look at Peter Skoronski as a really good fit there. Don't forget that Vegas signed Jimmy G, so they are no longer in a position where they need to take a quarterback or even trade up for a quarterback or anything like that. So they are very, very much in the offensive tackle market. It's one of the things where it's just like, what happens if the top 3 guys are gone? And what happens if no one wants to come up? Are you just going to massively overdraft a tackle? That's a real question. And so, obviously, in like a perfect world, like you would want to trade out of 13 and then you would want to recoup the second round pick that we're probably going to lose for Aaron Rodgers and all of that stuff. But we don't know what that's going to look like until it happens, right? And that's the real thing is I feel comfortable enough knowing that we're going to be able to line up an offensive line that's pretty good. A lot of guys are sleeping on, and I have to find his name. Give me 1 second, and I will find his name. But nope, this is not the page that I wanted to open. This is the page that I wanted to open. No. The Tristan Colon, the guy that we took from the Baltimore Ravens, is a very interesting name to keep out because he could be our Nate Herbig of this year. Because the reps that he took with the Baltimore Ravens, if you watch a couple of them, are very intriguing. They are very interesting. If you look at them, he absolutely shows potential to be able to play that position relatively highly. So that's the thing where I go, like, it would not be worst case scenario if Elijah Vera Tucker has to play tackle, because he can be a good tackle. We all know that he can be an all-pro guard, but ultimately we need the best 5 guys out there. And if that's Dwayne Brown, Mekhi Becton, Laken Tomlinson, Elijah Vera Tucker, and insert whatever center here, because I don't think we've signed Wes Schweitzer or Tristan Colon to be our centers of the future. I think the expectation is that we're probably going to trade our second away to Green Bay. We're going to recoup that second in a trade down. And I wouldn't be surprised if we took John Michael Schmitz in the first. Like, just straight up, just being honest. But there's that. JD will keep it tight, relax. Cramerica Industries, absolutely. Our tackles are injured and old. And it is something that you absolutely need to worry about, Boycott Activision. Like, you're not wrong. You're absolutely right in saying that that is a massive concern. But, like, before he got here, Dwayne Brown was healthy for a good chunk of his career. I like to, and this is optimistic of me, obviously, I like to think that the injuries that came to Mekhi Becton weren't because of him, but, like, they're injuries being done to him. But at a certain point in time, you got to look at it and be like, he got rolled up on twice, right? And it sucks that that happens. But he looks good and he looks healthy. And I'm starting to really start believing Mekhi Becton, and because he's looking skinny, he's looking healthy, and his coaches are raving about him. When you look at, like, his offseason coaches, they're all speaking very, very highly of him and his ability. So Abby's correct. We really do need Becton. It's not bad luck. Our field conditions are trash. Woody needs to pull a Raiders and ask the Mets to share the stadium. The good thing is that we're obviously changing away from that slit field grass, which is, like, known to be a problem, right, into a different type of turf that has less of a history of having players be injured on it. Now, I don't want to play on turf at all, but until the NFLPA is willing to give something up, and here's the big thing that I think the NFLPA should do, is they should tell the owners, we'll give you the 18th game if you give us grass fields. Because you have to remember, whenever they negotiate and they come to the collective bargaining agreement table, each side needs to give something up, right? I don't know if you remembered when they restructured and they redid the rookie contracts, it was a way of being able to help the teams by knowing what they were going to be spending more closely when it came to their draft position. But it also helped the players because now less of the money is going to be accrued by rookies. And so that's it. It's a give and a take. So the players gave up earning money in the beginning of their careers because they knew that, like, hey, look, a career is 3 years long. Anyway, is the average length of an NFL career. We don't care about the rookies. The guys that are making this decision in the NFLPA are all of the old heads, guys who are getting second and third and fourth contracts. We want to get more money when we finally hit free agency, and we can do that by throwing rookies and first, second years and third years under the bus. And so that's what they did. It's a give and a take. So if you give the owners and you say, we'll give you an 18th game, like, but we want a second bye week, but here's the thing. We also want grass fields. Like, we'll give it to you so you guys can make more money, and that's awesome, but we need the grass fields. And I think that's the only chip that they have for us to finally get the grass fields. If 13 is not a tackle, I will be shocked. I don't think we take a tackle at 13. If we stick and pick at 13, I'm at a position where I honestly doubt that it's a tackle. Like, truthfully and honestly. What are we going to do about the center position? Abby, I really and truthfully and honestly think that we're going to trade out of 13 and we're going to move back into the 20s. And I think we're going to probably look at taking John Michael Schmitz at, like, in the mid 20s, or using our second round pick that we accumulate in a trade back from 13 to go and get the center of the future. I think the Jets, and the report has already come out, that they are really high on John Michael Schmitz, and taking a center in the first round makes a ton of sense. Having that 5th year of control on a center is a massive deal because, like, especially in the late 20s, because they're not going to be making any money, and you can just add the longevity of a center, like a solid center being there. And centers nowadays tend to be more plug and play. Hey, they're going to come in immediately and they're going to kind of just get the job done. And that's what I think we're going to see from this situation personally. But I think it's probably going to be John Michael Schmitz or Luke Whippler in John Michael Schmitz in the first, Luke Whippler in the second. And that's the way that I look at it. Jets throw in pick 13 with Corey Davis and other picks for a package with Bakhtiari. So here's the thing. A couple of guys already answered this. Dark Soldier, they restructured Bakhtiari's contract already. Bakhtiari's not going anywhere, right? He's going to stay in Green Bay. He's not going to be a part of the picks because, like, the real thing that you need to take into consideration here is, like, they still need to protect Jordan Love, right? The Green Bay Packers should do everything in their power to go all in this year and next year on for Jordan Love. They've got some really good wide receivers there in Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. And if they, like, I think Corey Davis is going to be a part of the trade. Like, I just think that, period. And so if you add Corey Davis to that room, now you're looking at, like, wow, like, that's a really good wide receiver room. And so he's going to have some really good targets that he can throw the ball to. And so there's that side of things. And then if you look at, they still have Aaron Jones out there. And then I don't remember the second running back behind Aaron Jones, but he is also, I think he's still there. And he's phenomenal. That offensive line, while oft injured, is still relatively good. And that's why when I was originally entertaining the idea of the trade, I thought maybe A.J. Dillon. Thank you, Abby. When I was originally entertaining the idea of a trade, I thought maybe they would want a guy like Max Mitchell going back, a guy that can play right tackle, who he can start immediately. He has starting experience. And while that would suck to see him go because he was my favorite player from last year's draft and all of that, and boom, like, I liked him really, really early. But the more I think about it, the more I look at what the Green Bay Packers are doing and how they're going to move about their potential restructuring, I think they've got a good enough line to protect Jordan Love. I think they really need to adjust the tight end room, and getting rid of Bakhtiari doesn't help them out at all. And then giving up 13 doesn't help the Jets at all. We need 13 to recoup what I ultimately think is going to be the second round pick that's going to go. So, yeah. Great question, though. Harrison Hagen, what's up? Resident Packers fan, what do you think about the Packers getting the Jets first round? Here's the thing. While I understand why the Packers want a first round pick, here's why I don't think it will happen, Harrison. And take everything I say with a grain of salt, because ultimately, I am a Jets fan, right? So, like, while I want to be objective in my analysis of what's going on, everything that I'm going to say is going to be said with a slightly Gotham green tint in the situation. And if I'm Joe Douglas in this negotiation process, the way that the thing that I keep considering is, and it kind of didn't help the Packers when he said this, was what happens if he is just one and done? What if he's only here for 1 year? Giving up a first round pick for a 38 going on 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers isn't worth it, right? And we've seen this trade and the framework of a trade like this done before 15 years ago with the Brett Favre trade, and that was done for a conditional third that could turn into a one. And so ultimately what I think the trade ends up being, Harrison, is it's probably going to be a second-round pick this year. You'll get 43, and then you'll get a conditional pick next year. And I think the condition is going to be, you know what? It's going to be a fourth round pick period. You'll get a second this year and a fourth next year, no matter what. Now, if he comes back to the team and he plays in 2024, that fourth turns into a third. If we make the playoffs and he plays 70% of the snaps leading us to the playoffs, that third turns into a second. And if we do the thing and we win the Super Bowl and he's played 80% of the snaps, it'll turn into a first. And I ultimately think that's what the trade is going to be. If Green Bay wants a first-round pick, that's how they're going to do it. And that's also how they can help Jordan Love right now. And the other thing that I would be selling if I'm Joe Douglas is the fact that this draft is not top-heavy. The reason we don't want to give 13 is not because we think that there's going to be a magnificent player at 13. There is a good to fair chance that there's probably not. The only elite player in this draft is Jaylen Carter. Everyone else has kind of high floor, low ceilings. There's no superstar that's going to break the game wide open at any of the positions outside of Jaylen Carter. These quarterbacks have some high upside. These defensive ends have some high upside. I would give you the argument of Brian Branch, but how much can a box safety or a slot corner, which is probably where he's going to be, really break your game wide open? Bijan Robinson is probably in that conversation, but running backs are getting less and less value from being where they are, and you're finding undrafted free agents and 5th and 6th and 7th round picks coming in and being incredibly effective. So the way that I look at it is, having pick 43 is probably just as good as having 13, because outside of the top 8 or 9 picks, the guy from like let's say 13 to the guy from 50, the separation between them is not that big. And the Jets are more than happy to wait until after the draft to say, okay, you don't get anything in 2023 when it comes to draft compensation. We'll give you a first in 2024, because by then, we don't care about that pick, at all, because we'll have Aaron Rodgers. We would have loaded up so I think they should want to take a pick this year to really bolster up, because 43 is still a really, really valuable pick. And that's what I think ultimately ends up happening. Tigo, where did you get that hat? I've been looking for an all-black hat similar to yours. So this technically isn't all black. It's olive drab, right? It's the military hat, the salute to service hat from last year. Not last year, actually 2 years ago. It was the salute to service hat. I try to get the salute to service hat every year, just to, help out. I was in the military, and I just love this stuff. I love the camo stuff. It fits really, really nice. This year, I really want to go all out and get all of the gear, like the hoodies and all that stuff. I love the salute to service garb, and being ex-Navy, it really hits home. So that's what this is. I think you can still find it in some places. Like I said, the salute to service, I really, really like it. And yeah, Daniel Faust with the $2. Thank you so much. Keep up short news spots and you will grow. Yeah, I've been working recently on the algorithm, or the structure of the channel, of how it goes and how I release content. And I've been finding that a mixture of shorter content with some long content sprinkled in here and there is what's doing and being the best, in my opinion. The short content gets the people to come to the channel. They click, they subscribe, they do all that stuff. And then the long content is just like, hey, I am an analytical guy. I really like to look at the numbers, the stats, and the breaking down the tape and doing all that stuff. And you can't really go into that in 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So I'm trying to do a combo of both. But thank you, Daniel. You changed your picture, didn't you? Because I remember you having a different picture. Was here in one of my OG streams. Wild Wave, imagine we let Jaylen Carter fall to the Patriots. It would be Richard Seymour all over again. There is a good to fair chance that Jaylen Carter doesn't make it past the Seahawks. I don't think he should make it past the Seahawks. If there is any organization out there that, if there's any organization out there that's absolutely been able to, dominate the positive publicity market, it's Seattle. If there's any team that's built up enough goodwill with their within their fan base to take on a guy like that, it's them, right? It's Seattle. So And I just look at him and he's absolutely a game breaker. And he's going into a defensive room with a defensive coach where, like, he's going to be humbled. Very, very, very much he's going to be humbled. Because he might be the best player on that defensive line, but he's not going to be the best player on that defense. He's not going to be the best. He's not going to be the most important person that's going to be there, right? Like, if you look at, like if he went to Chicago, it's really hard to humble him in Chicago. Because, like, what is anybody going to say to him? Chicago's defense is absolutely abysmal. He will immediately come in and be the best player on that defense. But if he goes to a team where he has a lot more where he has less leverage in the sense of, like, look at my resume and look at my ability, man, I need to shave my mustache. He can do that. And I don't think if Jaylen Carter was there at 13, I honestly think that the Jets would sprint to go get him, because lining him up to Quinnen Williams would absolutely break the game. Break it. John Hepburn in the house. I used to think a second this year, conditional next. I'm starting to think a third this year and a conditional both in 2024 and 2025. That's good. I heard Peter King? Whatever his first name, King, talk about how he thinks the trade should be a second-round pick this year and then a whole bunch of conditional picks for 2025. And I think that's very interesting how that works and how, like, that might break down. I don't know if the Packers would go for that. And I don't know if the Jets would go for that. In 2025 is when you want to have your picks again, because that is, in my opinion, where the what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe you start looking at another quarterback in the draft. You start evaluating Zach, like that kind of era starts beginning, and having a first-round pick in that part of the years is going to be very important, in my opinion. 39 going... Oh, I thought it was 38 going on 39. My mistake. Have you ever seen the Jets play in Miami? I have never. Okay, I went when I was super, super small. I've only been to one Jets game in my entire life. It was at the Meadowlands when we used to live in New York, and that is it. So and there are pictures of it, but I have no recollection of this. No, I'm sorry. I have one recollection of us walking to the stadium. I don't know what game it was. My dad doesn't know what game it was. We don't remember. I don't remember anything of it. So no. And also, I don't like watching games at Hard Rock. Hard Rock is a very uncomfortable stadium to be in. And it's not because of, like, the seats or anything. It's a fantastic stadium, but it's in the open air, and Florida, like, doesn't get cold, and it's always humid, and I sweat a bunch, and I don't like wearing short sleeves. It's a habit I built up from when I was in the Navy. And so I wear long sleeves everywhere, and I'm cool with, like, sweating generally because it's just what I do, right? Like, I was in the Navy with Marine Corps, like, you just sweat all day, right? But when it comes to going there, it's just hot and muggy and just abysmal. And so I don't really like, and the thing you have to remember is while I'm in Florida, the Hard Rock Stadium is a 4.5 hour drive. So if I go there, I have to stay overnight because the game's gonna, like, if the game is being played, it's probably like at 4, and then you got to drive back, and you're just sitting there screaming for 3 hours and blah, blah, blah. So no, it's much easier for me to go watch them play Tampa or Jacksonville. And I missed those games these last couple of years, but this year I am definitely going to try. I'm really, 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 really hoping that we can figure out a way, and hopefully maybe the chat can help or the fun can help, because I would really like to go to my first, like I said, I'm considering it my first game, but my first ever home game. I really want to go there to opening day for the game, because I think that would just be really, really awesome. Packers have like 5 offensive tackles. They drafted Zach Tom, a left tackle, and Yash Nijman, a right tackle. They don't need Bakhtiari. Yeah, but when Bakhtiari is healthy, which hasn't been very often, he's like a Pro Bowl left tackle. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's just like, this is a Pro Bowl left tackle. He's one of the best in the game when he's healthy. Now, it's a big if, like when he's healthy, but he isn't. What problem has Jaylen Carter had besides the accident as a ref enough to skip over him? So there's actually a couple of things here. NY Cursor, thank you for stopping by. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Would greatly appreciate it. So there is the arrest thing. And here's the thing. The problem isn't the arrest. The problem is that he lied about it. It's that when he was at the combine, he knew this stuff was going on. He knew that there was a police investigation into him and all of that stuff. But what he didn't mention and what he didn't bring it up to a single team that interviewed him. And so that's a problem. I don't know if you guys remember when Marcus May was on the team, but he hid the fact that he had like the DUI in Vegas or whatever it was. And like that was a big reason why we didn't bring Marcus May back. It wasn't because of his ability, but it was 100% because of the fact that he did not tell the team what was going on. So that's a massive red flag on any player. When you don't inform teams of what's going on, like they want to be held apprised of not the inner workings of your life. They don't care what you're eating for dinner, but they want to know, like if you have a court case, they want to be able to get in front of that. That's what every team wants to do, right? And by not informing them, they really it really screws them up like that. So there's that part of it. But then the other part of it was the pro day stuff. So if you're unfamiliar, when he went to his pro day, he was 9 pounds overweight and unable to finish his drills. Now, there were already some character concerns on him because if you look at last year and the tape from him at Georgia last year, he took some plays off, right? Like just straight up where he was just like, I don't care about this play. Like I'm not even really, I'm going to jump up. I'm going to grab the guard or the center. And then we're just going to kind of sit here. Like I'm not going to go after the ball. So there were already some motor concerns and character concerns and all of those things. And so it's just like a compounding issue that keeps coming up with him, which is like, hey, you know what? He's showing up overweight. He's doing this. He's doing that. And it's causing him to take a little bit of a tumble. Now, is he going to be there at 13? I highly doubt it. But if he's there, the question of whether or not you should take him is a really serious one that you have to have a discussion about. JJ McQuaid right here. Carter gained weight and looked slow is what I heard. Yep, that is absolutely true. Big Green, thank you for your Tico, thank you for your service. Help me out. What's your favorite rifle? Without getting way too much into it, I just love an AR-15, like honestly, and like probably like if I'm talking about military rifles, the HK 5.56 is, I believe, what it is. Essentially, what I'm trying to say, Big Green, is long stroke AR-15s. So the AR-15s that use the gas system that the AK uses, I like those ARs. If you're looking for one in the civilian sector, Primary Weapon Systems makes one. They are very, very expensive, and they are very, very difficult to maintain if you don't know how to maintain them. But like once you learn, they're relatively easy, and that's it. So right now, I really am enjoying the crap out of my PWS MK111 shooting in 223 Wild. And there you go. My favorite rifle. But I love long guns, shotguns. Like I've got like 6 or 7 rifles. I've got a couple of handguns. I've got it all. I live in Florida. I can do that stuff, right? So why not? And I was in the military. I was trained to do that stuff. Garrett Wilson, 2023 yards prediction, over under 1,500. Over. I'm blasting the over every day of the week. Every day of the week, I'm blasting the over. I think you take the over on 1,500s for Garrett Wilson. I think you take the over on 1,000 with Elijah Moore, and I think you take the over on 1,000. The over on at least 700 with Alan Lazard. I think that's easy. I think we're going to throw the ball all day, like easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. Just boom. You should watch Grassi's video he just put out on the trade and the discussion around leverage. I saw it right before the stream started, so I actually have it open on a different tab, and I'm gonna watch it because I love Grassi and his content. I've been watching Grassi for years, and then this stuff happened. So yeah. Both teams have equal leverage. They should just compromise and get it over with. So here's the thing, Sergio. I don't think that's true. I think right now the Packers hold the most leverage, and as time goes on, the Jets will hold more leverage. The closer we get to the draft, the Jets will start getting more leverage because they're the only team that's in on it. And ultimately, no matter what happens, The Green Bay Packers want draft capital this year. They don't want Aaron Rodgers showing up for offseason workout, making things really, really uncomfortable and really, really like awkward, I guess is the best way to say it. The way that, our boy Harrison says it, because it's true. And so when you get to that side of things, the Jets start getting more leverage. Hey, do you want 23 compensation? Get it. Here it is. So I think you're absolutely right. They should just get to the deal. They had originally, and this was the report, they had originally reported that there was a deal kind of in place already, and that Green Bay kind of went back on it and said, well, we want more now. And I think if they went back to the original deal, which I think was a second-round pick this year and a bunch of conditional round picks next year, I'm going to try to pronounce it. Lais Niedermeyer. I know how to pronounce the last name. Niedermeyer. Is it Lise Niedermeyer? Lais Niedermeyer? Well, thank you for subscribing. Whatever it is. I appreciate you. I think they got to go back to that deal. Now, maybe you instead of it being a conditional fourth, you turn it into a conditional third. I'd be okay with that if that's what it takes. Lisa. Oh, cool. But yeah, that's the way that I would look at it. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, and your living room is more comfortable than being miserable, especially after a loss. Lol, not anymore. Absolutely. But the other thing is like there are too many horror stories from friends that I have and that I know of going to Miami and getting like beers thrown at them and like things like that. Like the rivalry between New York and Miami is big enough. And I have been watching soccer for my entire life, long enough to know I'm not going to put myself in that situation. If I'm going to go to an away game, I'm going to go to an away game where the fan bases, they just don't care about each other. So like the Jags or the Bucks are a much better place to be or to go. And the culminating experience for this was me and my wife, for our 1-year anniversary, we went to Rome and we went to Greece. And my wife, when we were there, surprised me with tickets to a Roma game in Rome. It was absolutely phenomenal. And the stadium was relatively empty. But here's the thing that absolutely blew my mind was the fact that, the fact that when we got there, we had to sit like 100 yards away from the opposing team's fans, and they had erected like a 15-foot wall of glass between the two fan bases because like they were screaming at each other and trying to throw things at each other and doing all those things. And I was just like, dude, I am an innocent bystander here. I have no stake in this game. And they were like, police needed to escort the opposing team's fans out to their buses. Like they couldn't drive. They had to come on a bus from the other team. Like it was a whole debacle. And so if I'm going to watch a game, it's going to be at MetLife because I want to be at home, or it's going to be at Jacksonville. I can go to an Atlanta game. Like it's about the same time for me to get to Atlanta. It's like 5 hours to Atlanta. So like I'll just go to an Atlanta game, like honestly. And then you just stay overnight and go to the Coca-Cola factory and the aquarium and you turn a whole day. You just turn it into a whole weekend, right? And yeah. Peter Bertorelli, is this your first podcast? If so, you are doing a great job. Thank you very much. No, it is not. In a couple of senses. This isn't my first podcast in the sense of like my first show that we're doing live. We go live every Friday. We've been doing it for the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, welcome for that. But also, I have a gaming channel and I have an NFL channel I used to have a gaming channel. We're going to rebrand it and we're going to launch it again soon. And I'm currently working on developing my NFL channel, which I'm branding and doing that stuff and launching that soon. Just really putting the Tigo stuff out there. And one of the main things I want to do is I want to upgrade the camera because I think the camera's kind of whack. And that's where subscribing and watching the videos, and if you can, joining the Tigo Navy or becoming a member of the channel or donating or any of those things really, really helps. It is all going directly to and back to the stream. I am unemployed. I am a full-time student. I am a stay-at-home dad. So the only way I can make the stream better is with your guys' support. But the only thing I'm going to ever ask from anybody is just hit the subscribe button. If you can do that for me, that is more than enough. But if you're willing and able and want to do anything else, there's a bunch of ways that you can do that, and they're in the description below. That's the last shameless plug for at least like an hour. Too bad Rodgers threw Murphy under the bus on McAfee's. He should have waited until after the trade was signed. The problem with like you have to take into the ego into consideration a little bit here. Like there's a lot of misinformation out there, and he wanted to correct it. He wanted to say, hey, there's a lot of things going on that isn't true. There's a lot of things going on and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm going to skip around, guys, because there are almost 100 of you in here, and so I'm going to try to highlight as many chats as I can, but I want to get close to the bottom as quickly as possible. So, yeah, that's the whole idea there. Remember that Super Chats do skip the line, and donations, which are in the link in the description below, interrupt the whole stream, and I immediately stop what I'm doing and answer those. So there's that. Harrison, to be honest, as a Packers fan, I think the first rounder is fair, but that's because I think Rodgers will play for another 2 to 3 years. Here's the thing, Harrison. If we can get a commitment out of Aaron Rodgers signing a new contract with a poison pill that says he's going to play for the next 2 to 3 years, I'd be more willing to give that up. But we don't know that that's true. If he went into the darkness retreat 90% expecting to retire, what makes me think that he's going to not be 90% ready to retire at the end of the next season? You know what I mean? And so while I tend to agree with you, Harrison, I think he can play for another 2 to 3 years at a very, very high level. We don't know that, and I'm not trading a first rounder for a what if. But that's me. Sal, Jets fans are nuts if they're not giving up. If they think they're not giving up a 1. I don't think they are. I don't think there's anything. There's nothing indicating that they will at all. There's no incentive to give up a 1 for 1 year of Aaron Rodgers. No. Why would they do that? So I'm assuming Rodgers will play, but obviously that's an unknown. Yeah, absolutely. I just brought myself a Henry baby made in America or not at all. I think we get Thanksgiving this year. If so, I'm going 100%, especially because we play Dallas this year, right? Like, that's I would look out for that game to be a Thanksgiving game. Like, that's the game that I look at. Dallas plays on Thanksgiving every year, you know. Like, that's a whole thing right there. That's a serious thing to consider. The other thing to consider is I think that the New York Jets versus New York Giants game could be a primetime game. I would expect that one on a Thursday because the New York rivalry would sell a lot of tickets, especially with New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers. The New York Giants probably going to have a solid year next year. That's a great way to look at it. NY Jets fan 4, Tigo, who are the two new guys that we signed on the offensive line? So we signed Wes Schweitzer, center guard from, I believe it was the Commies, and then Tristan Colon, center guard out of the Baltimore Ravens. The best way to describe what's happening here is Wes Schweitzer is a worst-case scenario. We cannot find a center, so we have one. That's what he is. He's not a good option, right? He is a downgrade from what we got from McGovern. And remember that McGovern was league average. He is a downgrade, but he can play center relatively well. Tristan Colon, however, is a guy that I tend to look at more as a guard than a center, but he can play center. He has experience playing center. But he, to me, reminds me of what Nate Herbig was last year, a guy that we can find off of the scrap heap that doesn't cost us any money, and in a pinch can give us a lot of relatively high-level reps depending on whether or not our offensive line coach is good. And I really like Keith Carter. So a guy like Tristan Colon is a guy that I feel relatively confident in, especially if one of our guards go down or if one of our tackles go down and we bump Elijah Vera Tucker outside. Tristan Colon can come in and play at a relatively good level, and that's the way that I look at him. I really like the Tristan Colon signing, while like I said, the Wes Schweitzer signing really makes me think that we're 100% going center in the draft, and my guess is that we trade out of 13 and take John Michael Schmitz in the mid-20s. I would keep an eye out on 420 and 21, which are the Seattle picks and the Chargers picks. Keep an eye on both of those for coming up in the draft. If a guy like Kalijah Cansey or Brian Branch is available at 13, keep an eye on Seattle maybe coming up to double dip on the defensive side of the ball and get themselves an elite safety to partner. Because remember, they did, not a safety, but they can get an elite slot corner, and so that they can really solidify their corner room. But for real, the one that I really look at the Chargers. I think they want to add another wide receiver to that room. They know that their wide receivers they can't stay healthy. And even though they were able to keep both Keenan Allen, and the other guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Even though they were able to keep both of those guys here, 100%, I think. And they have Palmer, which I think is a nice piece. You can't count on those guys. Mike Williams, Jesus. You can't count on those guys staying healthy. And so getting another guy, it follows the Cincinnati Bengals method of building a team. Let's just get as many weapons as possible. So that's the way that I look at it. Johnny boy, what's up? As a Packers fan, I have a question for you Jets fans. If the Packers don't budge and the Jets refuse the deal, are you okay with it? Just dropping in to hear some differing opinions. Here's the thing, Isaac. Like, this is a very interesting question, but like, if the deal doesn't go through, right, I'm not okay with it, right? I want Aaron Rodgers to be a New York Jet. So let me say that. But in the other situation, what about you guys? Like, as a Green Bay Packers, are you okay with bringing a guy, committing $60 million to the guy, right? Because that's a serious thing that's going to happen. Like, if you're going to pay him $60 million, and that's a lot of money. So are you totally cool with committing $60 million to a guy who's not going to play and is going to be a relatively, I don't want to say toxic because that's not the word, but he is going to be a relatively toxic presence in the locker room? Like, here's the thing that you got to look at, right, Isaac? Is like, I'm not saying that the Jets have more leverage or the Packers have more leverage. I think it's about equal. But the way that I look at it is Green Bay wants compensation, right? And absolutely they do. And the Jets want Aaron Rodgers. But the Green Bay Packers can't afford to have Aaron come back. And I'm not talking about can't afford like money-wise. They can pay him, like if that's what they want to do. Just pay the guy. But you should want to have a clean break from Aaron Rodgers to the Jordan Love era. And the best way to do that is to deal him to the only team that wants him. So that's the way that I look at it. It's not a matter of like, oh, leverage this, leverage that. No, of course, I want Aaron Rodgers. And the pivot away from Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be what? Like Lamar Jackson? I'm not a big fan of that. And all of that stuff. But the reality is there is a $60 million hit that's going to happen. You partner that on top of the fact that, he might only play 1 year. These are some of the bargaining chips that the New York Jets have, right, in their repertoire of being able into this negotiations. I think what Wingo said is absolutely true. I think what he said is, I think by next week he is a New York Jet. I don't think this is going to drag out very long because the longer it goes on, the worse it looks for Green Bay and for the New York Jets, because then the New York Jets are going to start looking cheap and just go get the guy, blah, 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 blah. And then Green Bay is going to start looking bad because there are still a lot of players in that locker room that are on Aaron Rodgers' side, right? And there is a good chunk of your fan base in Green Bay that is still on Aaron Rodgers' side and wants to, do right by the quarterback. So again, it's a give and take. I think it happens. I don't think it happens for a 1, or at least it's not going to happen for an unconditional 1, I guess is the best way to say it. I don't think Green Bay is going to get a first-round pick straight up. I think there are going to be a bunch of conditions attached to a pick that can turn into a 1, and that's going to be in 2024. But I don't think you're going to get a 1 straight up for Aaron Rodgers unless you're sending things back the other way, right? I saw a trade proposal that kind of made a little bit of sense, which is like a swap of 1s, where it was like, you guys go to 13, we go to 15, and then it's a second-round pick this year, and then like so that you guys can move up in the draft. I saw that happen, but again, even in that, like, I'd be willing to do that. Like, if that's what the Green Bay Packers want to move up 2 spots because they want to get in front of New England for whatever reason, like, cool. But I don't think any GM, even if Vegas was in on it, is going to give a 1 for what potentially could be a 1-year rental of Aaron Rodgers. And because we're not going to be able to get a commitment out of Aaron Rodgers like 100%, that's the way that I look at it. This is a great question, though. And I appreciate you for stopping by. Thoughts on trading for Kevin Byard? He's on the market, one of the best free safeties in football. Well, here's the thing, right? He is more likely to get cut than he is to get traded for. And I don't want to be spending this kind of money in the safety market, if I'm being honest. When you have the elite cornerbacks that we do, you don't really need to go into the free agent market or into the safety market like with really, really high expectations. We don't need to go find Minkah Fitzpatrick, right? We just need to find guy. We need to find average safety. And like going after a guy like Chuck Clark did exactly that. We got above average safety for a 7th round pick. So now you're telling me, hey, Jordan Whitehead in 2nd year in the system, maybe he gets better with the whole tackling thing, and you add Chuck Clark there, maybe playing free safety. That's a really good combo. I know I also am much, much higher on Tony Adams than a lot of Jet fans. And so, like, I am at a point where I'm, like, cool with cutting Jordan Whitehead, saving this. I think it's like $9 million is what we save. I'm cool with cutting him and saying, let him walk, or either he restructures or let him walk. Playing Chuck Clark at the strong safety spot and letting Tony Adams be the free safety. I totally feel cool with that. Instead of going to like a Kevin Byard, who you're absolutely right is one of the best free safeties in football, but also having to pay him $16 million. That's the way that I look at it. So, yeah. Great question, though. Sunday night, week 1, away versus the away. You got to put the air quotes wild track, away versus the Giants. I think that's I don't know. In my bones, I feel like that has Thursday Night Football written all over it. That's an Amazon game. Will Peter Skoronski be available at 13? I hope so, but in reality, probably not. He is probably a Titan, if I'm being honest. I think that through and through. I think that the 3 tackles are going to be gone before the Jets pick, and I think they're going to go in this order. They're going to go. Broderick Jones is going to be the first tackle taken, and I think he's going to go to the Raiders. Peter Skoronski is going to be the second tackle taken, and he's going to go to the Titans. Is it the Titans? Or essentially, Peter Skoronski is going to go to the Titans, and then Paris Johnson Jr. is going to go to the Bears. I don't remember which order it goes, Bears, Titans, or Titans, Bears, but I think the Bears are all in on Paris Johnson Jr. I keep hearing reports that they're in love with the guy, and yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense. Yep. Jets are my second team after watching Rodgers. Watch with all the Jets YouTubers. Yeah, man. Thanks, Harrison. It's always fun picking an NFC team, right? Like, I have been a pseudo San Francisco 49ers fan for a long time. And it's not because I like San Francisco or California at all. It has more to do with Kyle Shanahan than anything. Aaron Rodgers has been my favorite quarterback in the NFL until Patrick Mahomes came along. But Patrick Mahomes is in the AFC, so it's hard for me to root for him. And so I've always there are a couple of NFC teams where I'm like, yeah, look at them. I'll watch that game. And the Green Bay Packers have been on that list. So welcome to the Jets fandom. Dainty Butterfly. If the Jets are serious about getting Rodgers and pushing the team to contender, they should give up a first at least. Absolutely not. Right? Like just because we want to compete and be a contender doesn't mean that you sell the farm just for it to happen. No. You shouldn't cut your ear off to spite your face. Is the way that it says. And for a 1-year rental of Aaron Rodgers, which is what it looks like, it just doesn't make sense. Now, if you can get Aaron Rodgers to sign on paper and put a poison pill in that contract, which, by the way, you can't put poison pills in contracts anymore because they've been banned by the NFL. The contract won't get approved. But if you could still do that, if you could still say, screw it, poison pill, we get 6 first-round picks back if he doesn't play for 2 years, I would do it. I'd give you 13 this year and commit that he's going to play for 2 years. Yeah, but is it cut your nose to spite your face, Andrew? Yeah, whatever. The same thing, right? You can cut. There are a bunch of appendages on here. But yeah. A lot of people fighting. Fighting about the Rodgers trade compensation, NY Cursor. Chuck Clark is a better tackler / run defender than coverage. He's actually pretty good in coverage. If you look at all of his grades and like what he does there, he's pretty good. Now, I'm not saying that he is like insanely good at coverage, but the way that I look at it is Chuck Clark in coverage is better than what LaMarcus Joyner gave us all of last year. Right? So again, it's not about it being the best option. It is an option that I'd be cool with. And like another option that a lot of people don't talk about is remember that Jordan Whitehead did play in coverage last year. And maybe the plan is moving Jordan Whitehead to free safety because he does have such a hard time with tackling. And so that might be an option. Remember that. We might say, screw it, Jordan Whitehead, you were relatively okay at free safety last year in the 30% of snaps that you played at free safety. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know. I don't love it either way, but that is an option. Remember, he had like 2 interceptions that he just dropped, straight up just dropped in coverage because he can't catch because he's a safety. That's a real thing. I wouldn't be mad at that either. But like I said, we don't need a superstar free safety. We don't need an all-world free safety. At all. We just need a guy. That's it. We just need a guy who can be back there. As long as we've got DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner and Michael Carter, I don't care about our safeties. As long as they're not LaMarcus Joyner bad, I'm fine. We don't need Minkah Fitzpatrick back there, like a ball-hawking safety. Yeah, it would be really nice to have one. But ball-hawking safeties come in really high up in the draft where I'd like to be drafting other things, or they come really, really expensive, and I'd like to be paying for other things. So, yeah. Sean Carpenter, Brian Branch at 13. Here's the question, Sean Carpenter. Where is he going to play? As of right now, we have Michael Carter II, who is a very, very good... Oh, super chat. Ron Weiss, thank you so much. I'll get to it right after I finish this. Where is Brian Branch going to play? We have a really, really good slot corner in Michael Carter II. He shouldn't be taken off the field at all. He was considered the top... If we look at all of our corners, Michael Carter was the 18th ranked cornerback according to Pro Football Focus last year. And that's not outside corners of all cornerbacks last year. He was the 18th ranked corner in all of football last year. Sauce was 1 and DJ Reed was 23. And that's absolutely disrespecting DJ Reed. And he's not a free safety at the next level. He plays a slot or box. That's what he's slated to do at the NFL. So if you're drafting a Brian Branch at 13, now you're saying that you want Chuck Clark to play free safety and that you're going to play Brian Branch as a box safety. Brian Branch does most of his work at a really, really high level in the box, is playing as a slot corner, as a pseudo fourth linebacker. That's where he excels. And I would love me some Brian Branch, but I would have loved Brian Branch if we got a free safety. We didn't get a free safety. We got a strong safety in Chuck Clark. So that's the way that you got to look at it. There are still a couple of guys out there that I would totally feel comfortable with bringing in. And I made a video on it, and I don't have my piece of... Oh, is it here? Did I keep it? No, I got rid of it. But I did look at a couple of safeties that would cost like $5-6 million that are really inexpensive that we could do it. So there's that. Ron Weiss with the super chat. Thank you so much. What's up, Tigo? Why don't the Jets let out a news leak that they want to talk to Lamar, push Green Bay a little bit? Because of the optics for it with Aaron? Really? That's it? Right? And because... That's really it, because of the optics of it for Aaron. Like, we can't communicate with Aaron anymore. Green Bay has revoked our ability to speak to him, so we can't talk to Aaron Rodgers. Anybody that's on the New York Jets staff can't talk to Aaron Rodgers at all. So we wouldn't be able to, like, shoot him a text and be like, hey, we're going to leak this to try to pressure Green Bay to get you here. Like, if we got caught doing something like that, the punishment that would come down would absolutely be insane, Ron. We would probably lose multiple first-round picks. We'd probably get the Aaron Rodgers trade if they found out afterwards. We would get the trade revoked, and Aaron would go back to Green Bay. Like, don't mess with the status quo. Aaron Rodgers will be a Jet eventually. The real thing that needs to happen is the fan base needs to not panic. The good thing is that this fan base isn't running this team. Unlike before, when we had guys like McCagnon that would listen to the fan base and watch ESPN to figure out what his top 10 players were going to be, like, there is no reason to move away from the status quo, from what's happening. Aaron Rodgers will be a Jet. Now, whether he's a Jet in a week from now or whether he's a Jet in 2 months from now doesn't really matter. He will be a Jet. Eventually, the Green Bay Packers will get to a point where they can't have him on the team, and and the New York Jets will come up to whatever the Green Bay Packers want. But the New York Jets will stand firm and not give up this year's one. And I don't think that they will get this year's one. No, I'm not saying Green Bay doesn't get a one, but I don't think you can give up an unconditional one for a 1-year rental. And that's that. But that's why you don't go after a guy like Lamar like that, because you can't let Aaron know that it's a pivot. It's a pseudo pivot. And that's it. Boom. Great. Rob V. # beat Ian. Always got to try and beat Ian. All said and done. All it would take is one good shot in the knee, and this all goes away. Not worth selling the farm for that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Boys! Buffalo Jet fan in the house. What's going on? Kevin, welcome to the Friday Night Hangout. Prediction for who the Jet center will be next season. There are only 3 names. 3 names of guys that I truthfully and honestly will think will be centers for the New York Jets. A name I'm not very comfortable with, and I don't want to happen. Wes Schweitzer. Not a fan of this one. Everything went wrong for this one to happen. Ben Jones. I'm still really hopeful that maybe we can go out and get Ben Jones. And then number 3 is insert rookie here. And the 2 rookies that I'm looking at are Luke Whippler and John Michael Schmitz. Those are the 2 guys that I would consider as the rookie targets for the New York Jets. Now, John Michael Schmitz only happens in a trade back out of 13 into the mid-20s, where then you could take a center, feel more comfortable, and have the 5th-year option. So that's an option there. Or you don't take the center in the first round, and in the second-round pick that you reaccumulate from the trade down, you can go and get Luke Whippler in the second. And so, yeah. Whew. Had to take a sip. Arizona tea. Love it. Love it. I'm quoting Star Wars. Don't at me. I love Star Wars, dude. I have my lightsaber right there. Oh, it's right out of frame. It's like right on the other side of that. I made a lightsaber at Star Wars. It's my lightsaber. Battery's dead, but I would pull it out. Arizona Jet. Who do we get as a backup for the new season? I don't think Zach should be the backup to Rodgers. All the good backups are gone now. Nah, we don't need a backup. We're looking for a 3rd-string quarterback. Would not be surprised if Josh Johnson came back. I'm being honest. And here's the thing, Arizona. Zach needs to be the backup. Zach needs to dress. Zach needs to be there with the clipboard in his ear, and he needs to be the one throwing speaking. Like, he has to be the guy there has to be the opportunity for him to start, right? In his mind, to keep him, invested, not invested, right? But like to keep him engaged and going through all that stuff. The other thing that you need to remember, Arizona Jet, is that he doesn't miss time. Aaron Rodgers. He played all of last year on a broken thumb. Like, that's it. Straight up. He just plays through injuries. He doesn't leave the field. He will play. If his legs are broken, he'll duct tape that thing up and he will play. So, yeah, that's that. Oh my gosh, Ron Weiss, again, thank you so much. Record prediction, 11 or 12 wins, spot on. I have 12 wins, spot on, fantastic. Ron Weiss, if the deal doesn't get done by the draft, do we pick the 13th? Yes, absolutely. If the deal doesn't get, like I said, if the deal doesn't get done, no matter what, you pick at 13. Because you'll have 43. right? Like, so you don't need to trade back. You can just take the best player at 33, whether that's a wide receiver, whether that's an offensive lineman that you might be overdraft or something along those lines. You could just stick at 33 and pick. I would still love a trade back, but like it again, it depends on who's available. If one of the tackles are available at 13, sign me up. Like, I want one of the tackles, and I think that would really, really help our team. But because I don't think that they're going to be there, you have to pivot. I'm not a super fan of maybe drafting a wide receiver. I'm not a fan of drafting a running back. I think the real pivot at 13, if you're going to stick and pick at 13, is probably one of the interior defensive linemen. If Kalijah Cansey is still available, he, to me, makes the most sense at 13 if we stick and pick at 13. Because, again, we do need to go get a partner in crime for Quinnen Williams. So, for me, if the trade happens, 13 is gone, we're going to trade that back. We're going to go into the 20s, and we're going to go get our second-round pick back. But if the trade doesn't go through by the draft and we're planning on just trading 2024 assets, then, like the same way we did with Brett Favre and that trade and that deal, then I would say you can stick and pick at 13 because you can get the tackle or the center or the whatever in the second round at 43. And so, yeah, this is a great question, though, Ron. Thank you very much. Harrison Tigo, Rodgers is a dog. All this talk about him being washed is dumb. No, I'm not. Who said he was washed? Did anyone in the chat say Aaron Rodgers is washed? I'll fight him right now. Dude, the dude played with a broken thumb all of last year. That's insane to be able to grip the ball and still throw it the way that he did with brand new wide receivers. He had two rookies as his essentially number one and number two wide receiver in Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. And, like, I don't think people really understand the losing of what Nathaniel Hackett's loss to Green Bay's offensive system was. You saw it in the numbers. The run game got worse. The red zone efficiency got worse. And what were the things that he was kind of in charge of, Nathaniel Hackett being him, in Green Bay? The run game and the red zone, like, those were his responsibilities. If you take a report that I read on some website, truthfully, that was like a couple of months ago. But, like, and I'm going to just stick to it. Harrison, maybe you can confirm or deny my reports here. But from my understanding, he was in charge of the run game and the red zone offense. And where do the New York Jets struggle? Well, we struggled running the ball effectively, and we struggled in the red zone. We're not going to have those struggles again. And where did we do really, really well? In the passing game. Garrett Wilson went off. And if we had a quarterback that could hit a guy who was wide open, we could talk about Elijah having over 1,000 yards. You could talk about probably Tyler Conklin having over 1,000. Like, we could have legitimately had 3,000-yard pass catchers last year if we had any quarterbacks that could hit the wide side of a barn. But we didn't. And to this idea that Rodgers was washed is dumb. I saw this tweet from a New York, from like a non-New York, like it was a Buffalo Bills guy, and his tweet it was Cole Beasley. Jesus, there it was. And his tweet basically said, the disrespect to Rodgers is insane. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, no one is better than Rodgers right now. And I totally agree with that sentiment. Not Josh Allen, not Joe Burrow, not Justin Herbert, none of it. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is the second best quarterback in the NFL. And I don't think it's close. Patrick Mahomes is by far and away the best. And then it goes Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers with a broken thumb would still give the New York Jets the best quarterback they've ever seen in franchise history. Let alone, like, get us to the playoffs or anything like that. Like, that's insane. Insane. Matthew Smith trolling. Love it. What makes you think Aaron Rodgers is washed? I don't. Zach needs to be on the sidelines studying the plays. His problem is not footwork. He has a problem with timing plays, anticipating receivers' breaks before it happens, the timing stuff. I don't even think it's the timing stuff. It's the mental stuff. He's not trusting what his eyes are seeing, and that's the real problem with Zach. He's not seeing the play develop in front of him. He's seeing the play for what the play is at that time, and that's not how you can play football. In high school, you can get away with that, and you can do all of that stuff in high school because that's how I played quarterback in high school. I waited for my guys to get open, and I just threw at them. I didn't throw them open, and that's why I quit football. I also quit football because I'm almost certain that Matt Milano cracked one of my ribs in high school. But yeah, that's the reality of it. We won despite of Zach, not because of him. Absolutely. What did Peter say? The league of owners is blackballing Lamar based on his contract. Baseball did the same thing with Rod Carew. I don't think it's necessarily blackballing Peter. I think more of it is, you know what? We're not going to give a fully guaranteed, I don't think it's even the fully guaranteed contract. I think that's a part of it, but we're not going to give a fully guaranteed contract of 5 years or more to a running quarterback who hasn't finished the season in the last 2 years. That's the way that I look at it. There are a lot of negative reasons to not give him a fully guaranteed contract. And the other real thing is I don't want to have to deal with Lamar. Lamar doesn't sound like, this is going to sound super wrong, but Lamar doesn't come off as the most intelligent person to speak to when it comes to non-football things. When you ask him a football-based question, he knows what he's talking about. But when you're going to sit there and talk about money and contracts, and as a GM, I don't want to have that headache, especially knowing that DaCosta, the GM of the Ravens, whatever deal I do work out with Lamar is just going to get matched. I'm not going to do DaCosta's dirty work for him. So, yeah, I'm gone. That's why I don't think any team has reached out to him. I don't necessarily think it's a blackballing situation. Imagine in Breece Hall plays all in 2023, even at 80% level, all problems are solved. I would keep Breece Hall off of the field for the first 6 weeks. I'm being 100% honest, Andrew. I would keep him off the field for 6 weeks. I would put him on the IR immediately. Week 1, you're on the IR. You're not playing a single preseason game, and the IR forces him to be out for 4 weeks. And honestly speaking, I would go after a guy like Kareem Hunt or, and hear me out here, this is tinfoil hat time. This is my Jets. Oh, all right. All right, Jets tinfoil hat on. Ready? Oh, no, my hat came off. Jets tinfoil hat time. Wait for the Bengals to cut Joe Mixon. Just do it. Just wait. Just wait. I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. They might wait till the draft, but I do not think that Joe Mixon will be on the Bengals week 1. Tinfoil hat off. I'm just saying. And I don't think Joe Mixon is going to cost that much money. He's going to get a $10 million contract right now. They are tight to the cap. Ooh. Ooh. I'm just saying. You're telling me that you can get a guy like Joe Mixon, who's still in his prime, in my opinion, at $6 million? Maybe. But yeah, that is my tinfoil hat. If I'm being real, I think you go after a guy like Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt's probably going to be like $4 or $5 million. I don't see how he's going to be able to really ask for more than Jamal Williams. I would literally give Kareem Hunt the Jamal Williams deal, and I think that would be a really, really good deal. And I think that he can come in and be running back 1 while we wait for Breece to get fully healthy so that we don't have to rush him back. And then, boom. Once he's back, Breece is running back 1, Kareem Hunt is running back 2, and you essentially replicate the running back duo that happened in Cleveland, but in New York. And instead of having Amari Cooper, who's a glorified wide receiver number 2, you actually have a wide receiver number 1 in Garrett Wilson. And now you can actually have a pass game and a run game, something that Cleveland hasn't been able to figure out. So, there it is. Why don't the Jets give Mims more chances? Because Mike LaFleur put him in a proverbial doghouse for some reason? I honestly don't know. I think he's going to get more chances now because of his size and the skill set that he brings, especially with Nathaniel Hackett liking to run the ball so much. So, yeah. There you go. Lisa Niedermeyer, I so agree. No rush. Prepare mid-October with Breece. Yes. Don't rush the guy back. Dude, how great would it be to get, let's say, now this is overdoing it, but I say overdo it. What happens if you wait and say, okay, we're going to bring Breece back after, let's say we have a week 9 or a week 10 bye week. What if you say, hey, we're going to keep you out till the bye. Just get fully healthy. We don't need you to be back. We're not trying to rush you back. We don't care. There's no awards. anymore. Like, you can't win Rookie of the Year in your second year. It doesn't work like that. Don't worry about it. And you go out and you get like a pseudo running back one, a Kareem Hunt. I'm not a big fan of this, but like you see some of his names in there. Ezekiel Elliott. I'm not a big fan of that personally. One of those types of guys, right? Maybe a Joe Mixon. Lucas Giuseppe, thank you for subscribing. And he comes back, and it's week 9. He comes back week 10, right after the bye, and now you have Brees fully healthy, and you run it down with Brees and whoever. Like, ooh. Diego, there's no way JD is bringing in a guy who shoots people or whatever he did. He hit his woman, I believe, right? Wasn't it a domestic abuse charge? No, but dude, here's the thing, Rob. Like, at a certain point in time, he has receipts that he fixed him, that he did this stuff. He went to rehab, not rehab. He went to therapy. He's got the receipts. Kareem Hunt is a guy that went out and made sure to better himself as a human being. At a certain point in time, your history has to be history, right? And if you've done the work to become a better human being, you have to at a certain point in time forgive that person, right? Like, we can't hold the grudge forever. If you put in the time to be a better person and you prove that through actions, which I believe Kareem Hunt has, he has receipts of the stuff that he's been doing to try to better himself. He hasn't had any trouble with the law since that scenario that happened over, like, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, he's done good enough to where I can say, I can forgive that issue. It's the same. Like, a lot of people like to bring up the character issues, but like, how much do we love Michael Clemens? He brought a registered firearm onto campus. That, for most teams, knocked him out of the second round. Everyone who I read their reports on Michael Clemens said the guy is probably a bottom of the second, top of the third, right? But that was a red mark, so we got him in the 5th. Again, you have to be able to look at some of these things and believe that your locker room is better than those things. And he, I think, look at it, is doing the right thing. Mixon got cleared of those charges. Mixon wasn't involved at all, Rob V. There was a shooting in front of his house. It wasn't his gun. He wasn't even involved. He's been cleared of all charges. So there's that. Mixon might be costly. I don't think so. Mixon is making $10 million right now. I don't think he makes $10 million in free agency. So, yeah. A guy like a Joe Mixon, a Kareem Hunt, even an Ezekiel Elliott, I don't think they make more than $5 million. Like, my thing is you have to look at the Jamal Williams contract that he got with the Saints. That contract set the running back market because I think he was the number 1 running back in the market. Like, truthfully, I just honestly think that. And he got 4. So, yeah. I think you should go back to the draft, or if you guys are giving up 2 firsts, it should be a deal for Lamar, like 4 years, $180 million. But here's the thing. If it's 4 years, $180 million, Lenny, the Ravens match that every day of the week. Every day of the week. Right? Yeah, I think the Ravens will match that. And also, I don't want Lamar at all. I wanted Jamal Williams. I wanted him so much too. I really, really do. Mixon is not going to be cheap. How is he going to be able to ask for more than Jamal Williams? Jamal Williams is younger and had a better statistical year last year than Joe Mixon. Had more rushing touchdowns, all of that stuff. You're not going to be able to ask for that much more. At most, he's going to make $5 million. And that's the reality of it. The reason he's holding out is because of the contract that he has with the Bengals. And he's hoping that his friendship with Joe Burrow can keep him on the team so that he can make $10 million. But he's going to get cut. I think he's going to get cut. I think they're going to go to the draft. They're going to take one of these running backs because this is a really good running back draft. And then they're going to cut him. Because there's no way that they're going to pay him $10 million. And so that's the way that I look at it. I'm not saying he's going to be cheap, but the rest of our running backs are cheap. If we got, let's say, Joe Mixon, at $6 million. I thought Mixon was 28. Is he only 26? I thought he was much older. I'm looking this up. Not that I don't believe you, but trust but verify, right? Holy crap. I am so wrong. He wears 28. He is not 28. My bad. You're so totally right, Bino. Never mind. But still, it's like, how are you going to ask for more money than Jamal Williams? Jamal Williams was better. And here's the thing. Even if he gets more money than Jamal Williams, how much more money? Is he going to be at $10 million again? Absolutely not. Now, $6 million, $5 million? Because Jamal got four. He got 12 over 3. He's a $5 million cap hit this year. I'll give Joe Mixon 5. I would totally give Joe Mixon 5. So yeah. I don't think so, Rob V. I don't think he will. Running back, what team is going to give a running back $10 million? Remember that's what his contract is right now. His contract right now, according to Over the Cap, is a $10 million contract. Yeah. His contract right now, is a $12 million contract. What team is going to pay $12 million to a running back? It's not going to happen. You don't pay running backs anymore. So, I'm just saying. I'm not saying, Rob V, I'm not saying he gets the jersey. I'm not saying he gets 3 or 4, but 5 or 6. 5 or 6 seems reasonable. And if the Jets were to bring him in at 5 or 6, you have Breece Hall, Michael Carter, and Bam Knight all making under $2.5 million. So that's 3 running backs that you have under $1.5 million. You can bring Ty Johnson back on a 1-year, $1 million deal. You would have your entire running back room, 5 running backs, making less money than Saquon Barkley. It makes a ton of sense. Like, I'm not saying go get him if he wants 10. That's not what I want. Pivot. Go get Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's not going to cost 10. Kareem Hunt's going to be like he's going to get the Jamal Williams deal. Like, there's no place that's going to give Kareem Hunt a starting job right now, I don't think. And I don't think there's a team that's going to give Kareem Hunt more than 4 or 5. Same, and the same kind of scenario breaks out. You'd still have your entire running back room if you brought back Ty Johnson at 1 year, $1 million, which I think is going to happen. Get ready for it. Boom. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. Days of running backs getting big money seem to be fading. Absolutely, Bino, and no team should, Lenny. You're absolutely right. OBJ got to come to the Jets. Let's be real, fellas. I'm kind of out on OBJ, man. Not that, like, I don't like OBJ or anything like that. It's just that, like, I just don't. OBJ doesn't move the needle for me. Like, at all. Yeah, he's a good wide receiver, but I want Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore getting those reps. I want Denzel Mims getting those reps because I really believe in Denzel Mims. I want Lazard getting those reps. Hell, bring in Cobb for much cheaper. Like, that's the way that I look at it. So, like, I'm not mad if OBJ comes here, but, like, I'm also not, like, happy that he's here. I just rather not invest that money there. I think we're good at the wide receiver position. Why are we signing a running back? Because we need one, Billy. A lot of people don't look at this, but running back is absolutely a need for this team. Michael Carter is coming off of a really bad year. Michael Carter is coming off of a bad year. Bam Knight is fell off once tape got put on him. And that's it. That's the only 2 running backs that we have on the roster right now. Breece Hall is still recovering from his injury, and the expectation that he's going to be ready week 1 is a bit naive. I don't think he's going to be ready, so we need to bring in a running back. And I would like to bring in a starting running back that can be a running mate with Breece Hall. When I look at it, I think Michael Carter is suited to be more of a running back 3, and that makes a ton of sense. Look at where we drafted him. Look at what he did in At North Carolina, when he was there, he was a tandem, and so that's the real situation. Rob V, it's not 100%, right? Because remember that Kamara is still dealing with some legal issues. Kamara might still go to jail, right? Like, isn't there a criminal investigation on Alvin? Or did that get cleared up? Can someone look that up? Is he fully cleared? Is Alvin Kamara fully cleared? Or is he still dealing with that legal issue? I think Jamal went there I think there's a possibility that he might get starting reps. Just in case. So, I'm just saying. What about Johnson? Are you talking about Ty Johnson? I think he's coming back. Has anyone talked to Breece Hall to see how he's doing? It's not a matter of how he's doing. Like, again, I'm basing my my scenario on injuries that we've seen like this. And the injuries that we've seen like this are what? I'm pretty sure Christian McCaffrey had the same injury. It took him a year and a half to get back at full strength. They rushed him back, and it only hurt him again. Saquon had the same thing, and it took him over a year to come back. And then you look at the guy from the Ravens that I'm forgetting his name, the running back there. He had this, not last year, but the year before, and all of last year, he didn't look great. It takes time to come back from this type of injury with Breece. And my thing is I'd rather be safe than sorry. Instead of having to rush Breece Hall back because we don't have another option at running back, I'd rather just solidify the running back position and then just have one of the J.K. Dobbins. Thank you, Mike D. Just have one of the best running back rooms in the league. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. That's it. Demes Paulette, he spoke to Breece. He's ahead of schedule. That's good to hear. Carter was always the number 2 to Denver's Javonte Williams in North Carolina. Absolutely. And when he came in year 1, he did a lot of good things, but he fell off. That's what it is. Trial is ongoing. There you go. See, Jamal Williams isn't an idiot. If he was going to be a backup, why not be a backup with his boy Aaron? No, he's going to start in the NFC, which is a weak division. Would it be a surprise if they drafted another one? No. Now, if we didn't sign a running back and we go into the draft for one, I wouldn't be surprised if we drafted one, like relatively high, like in the 3rd round, we would get one. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Digo, did Willis McGahee sit the season before he played in the NFL? I have no idea. Let's find out. He was drafted in 2003, and yep, he either sat or he got injured, but he did not play in 2003, the year he was drafted. Yes, but he never looked comfortable, Mike D. That's the thing. He never looked comfortable. He was playing injured. And there he goes. Lenny's letting us know he was injured. Jamal isn't starting for the Saints. Again, isn't it a murder trial that's going on with Alvin Kamara? Dude, what if the guy gets convicted and goes to jail? I'm just saying. I don't think any of these running backs that are getting signed are getting starting positions. There you go. There it is. There's all the answers for William McGahee. It's not murder. What is it? Is it a DUI? I said Jamal went there at the possibility of starting. He could start. Now he will start. He could start. He went there because that's the place where he could start. If I said he will start, my bad. I don't think he will start. I said he could start. Aggravated assault. So he beat the crap out of somebody. That's still possibly jail time. I'm not a fan of Zeke. I think his days are behind him. It takes a while with these knee injuries. And again, the problem with the William McGahee scenario, some guy, is the timing. In 2004, 2003, we didn't have all of this medical technology that we have now. And excuse me. But even with surgery and recovery and all that stuff getting better now, if we look at recent examples of running backs with this injury, they tend to take a year or more to get comfortable and to get back at full speed. That's why, like, Saquon made his money this past year, because last year, even though he played, he didn't look great because he was still recovering. He was playing with an injury. Zeke is washed. Totally agree. Could be suspended still. Trial July 31st. Absolutely. See, there's a lot of moving things in New Orleans. He can start. That's a real thing. Like, I'm not saying if Alvin Kamara is cleared of all charges that Jamal Williams should start in front of Alvin Kamara. That's absolutely insane. But when there's a legal battle going on, come on, guys. Look at the Super Bowl winners over the past 15 seasons. Virtually every team's starting quarterback or starting running back was on a contract of $2.5 million or less. Fournette is pretty much the only exception. Yes, and balls be hurting. If you look at the total number of money or dollars spent in the running back room in the last 10 or 15 years, I don't think any of the running back rooms cost more than $5 million. Like, if you go 1, 2, 3 running backs. Someone's got to check that, but I don't think it was no, because Leonard Fournette was making a ton of money. There was a weird stat that was somewhere along this line where no running back room cost more than $5 million in the last 3 Super Bowls. Jets fans, trust JD. Let him dig in negotiation. Don't let media sway you. If a Jet come July 1, we are still fine. Compensation will drive even lower, and he already knows the offense. Absolutely. Of course, he can start, but if Kamara can play, my point is he's not starting. Oh, no, yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, no, I agree. He will start, I believe, and he went there because of that. He turned down more money from the Panthers than the Panthers went and got Sanders. I did not know that. JETS, Jets, baby, 100%. King Lowski, welcome to the chat. You think Jets getting another backup, or are we stuck with Zach for a backup? One, I don't think stuck is the right word. We should want Zach to be the backup. Whether you guys are out on Zach or not, you need to understand that this franchise isn't, and you guys shouldn't be either. Don't let your short-sightedness of the bad play cloud you from the fact that this kid has all of the talent in the world. He honestly just needs to sit. That being said, remember that Aaron Rodgers is essentially an Iron Man. He does not miss time. He played last year with a broken thumb. He's not going to miss a game. He's not going to do any of those things for any reason. We don't have to worry about Zach ever seeing the field outside of preseason next year because Aaron Rodgers isn't going to get hurt. And Zach needs to be QB2 for his development. Truthfully and honestly, he needs to be quarterback 2 for his development. And that's that. Frank Gore had so many knee injuries in college, it cost him in the draft. The guy was the exception to bouncing back from multiple injuries. Absolutely. And there's always an exception to the rule, right? Always an exception to the rule. Don't jinx us. You're right. I shouldn't be talking anything. Yeah, you guys aren't wrong. Dalvin Cook came back from an ACL and was his old self immediately. Yes, Jose, but that's not what Breece Hall has. Breece Hall wasn't just an ACL. It was an ACL and an MCL. It was a compounding injury. And if you look at the guys that tore, I think it's an MCL. Was it an MCL or a PCL? I think it was an MCL. Breece Hall injury. Someone look that up for me so I can keep the stream going, but I believe it was an ACL and a PCL, J-Mac, whatever. It was one of the other CLs. It was a compounding injury, not just an ACL. If it was just an ACL, that would have been absolutely phenomenal. But it wasn't. It was an ACL and insert one of the other CLs. And that injury takes a lot longer to come back from. So there you go. Just threw on the Eric Decker Jets jersey. Boom, boom. Love it. Zach needs to take a Xanax. Joking. Maybe not. Damian Harris can hold it down for a few games before Brees gets back. Donta Foreman would have been perfect for... I really wanted Donta Foreman, dude. I made a video talking about Donta Foreman being one of the targets, and then he got signed the next day. But I think you're right. I think a Damian Harris could absolutely come and fill that role. And we would be taking a running back from a division rival. I love it. Ben Jones at center. I want Ben Jones at center. Both Curtis Martin and Terrell Davis had knee injuries as seniors. Why they both fell to mid-rounds. Damn, I'm old AF. Love it. Hey, listen to Nightbot. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, guys. I greatly appreciate it, and I would love you long, Tim. Love you long, Tim, if you did it. It was a meniscus injury. Yeah, so the MC... was it a meniscus? Whatever. It was ACL and meniscus. There it is. Rich, boom. ACL and torn meniscus. So, yeah, like I said, it was a compounding injury. Yeah, I love that my Bears got Foreman. Yay, man. He's a great pickup. And didn't you guys, like... Yeah, he's gonna help Justin Fields a ton. If we don't sign anyone else before the draft, and assuming we get Rodgers, what are our top 3 needs going into the draft? Josh? I can't tell you. I'm going to ask that you subscribe, Josh, because if we look, I'm not going to give you all of the videos, but if we look right there, what does that say? Post, nope, wrong video. Damn. That's the last one. Post free agency needs. I'm making that video. It's coming out on Monday. To give you a sneak peek, defensive tackle might be on that list. Linebacker might be on that list. Maybe some offensive positions might be on the list. Who knows? We'll see. But that video is coming out next week. Probably on Monday. Maybe not Monday. Yeah, maybe Monday. We'll see. Who is Long Tim? You don't remember who Long Tim is? The Office? So is that too obscure of a reference? Zach needs to go on an ayahuasca trip with his boy. You're not wrong. It probably will help him. Oh, I love Austin Eckler. Man, Austin Eckler on this team would be insane, but I'm just not about giving up assets. I'm honestly not about... I don't want to give up assets for Austin Eckler. And that's literally the only thing stopping me from going getting... If he was a free agent, I would go after him immediately. But I just don't want to give up like the 3rd or the 4th round pick that they're going to want for Austin Eckler. And that's it. But I love me some Austin Eckler. Tigo with the T's. Ooh, yes, all the time. Yeah, I have my Post-its everywhere. They're all over the monitors with video ideas and all that stuff. It's funny, my Bears got Moore, Foreman, and Walker as a backup and most of their picks for the number 1. Yep. You guys are just becoming the Chicago Panthers. Lenny, it blew my mind you were able to get DJ in that trade too. I still think that the Bears could have gotten that 3rd first-round pick, man. I still think they should have been able to get that. Shut up about the sun! We need a punt returner / kick returner guy. No, we don't. We got Bam Knight. That's what he does. And when we bring back Ty Johnson, who lined up next to Braxton Berrios on the punt returns, let's just return Ty Johnson. There you go. Boom. Punt return, kick return, done. Bino. Calais Campbell would be an upgrade over Vinny Curry as that old guy doing his thing. And he could play inside. I agree. I think Calais Campbell should be a New York Jet. And I don't think it's going to cost that much because I think he's like 36 or something like that. How old is Calais Campbell? Like 90? I was just looking up Calais Campbell. Okay, I was wrong. He's 133 years old. I'm kidding. He's 36. You know? You're not going to be paying a 36-year-old all this money. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. Yeah, I love Calais Campbell. I want him on the team so badly. After 2 Super Bowl games with Rodgers, then Zach takes the Jets to the Super Bowl. From your keyboard to God's ears. He is actually 6'8", I believe. think he's 6'8". Again, I was just looking up Calais Campbell. Yeah, he's 6'8". He's a freak. He's a freak of nature. It's insane how large this human being is. Like, it's crazy. It is crazy how large this human being is. Who do you think will be our starting offensive tackles next year? Okay, Josh. Let me ask you a question, Josh. I want you to answer in the chat as quickly as you possibly can, and then I'll give you your answer. Do you think we are taking a tackle at 13? And if so, who do you want to take? Because that'll change my answer depending on what you say. I'll wait for your answer, and then I'll answer the question. Calais Campbell, 1-year deal? Yup. 36, just hitting his prime. Can Campbell play? Campbell can play, 100%. I'd love to see the Jets get Calais Campbell and Justin Houston as rotational players. Now, is Justin Houston coming? Are you assuming that we cut Carl Lawson? Because if that's the case, I'm on board. I don't think so. Maybe Paris Johnson Jr. Okay, so let me answer the question with the first part. You don't think so? Then it's going to be Dwayne Brown and Mekhi Becton, left and right. Or left and right, because I'm the opposite of you guys. I don't remember. So, yeah, there's that. It's probably going to be Brown and Becton. Now, if we draft a young guy like a Paris Johnson Jr., it's going to be Becton Johnson. Becton left, Johnson right. If we can bring a legitimate tackle that can compete with Dwayne Brown, right? Here's the thing. A healthy Mekhi Becton is the best tackle on this team by far and away. By far and away. The best tackle on this team. That being said, you have to play him at right side if the only other option at tackle, like a legitimate option at tackle, is Dwayne Brown. So then you play Dwayne Brown on the left, Mekhi on the right, boom. Easy breezy. Dwayne Brown retires off into the sunset. Mekhi Becton moves over to the left. We extend him because we give him a bunch of money. And then you have to go address the right side of the offensive line. Maybe not, because I really like Max Mitchell and I believe he's there. But that being said, yeah. There you go. Boom. Rich, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay, like, you need to be more specific, dude. You can't just insult somebody and then just not be specific. Like say something. In round 2 or 3, the BYU offensive tackle would be great. As a developmental, his name is, I don't remember. I'm going to pull up the big board right now. Give me a second. Blake Freeland. There it is. He would actually be a really good developmental tackle. Like, again, he's one of those guys that the way that I look at it is, if we were to go get someone like that, is kind of like a Max Mitchell, another Max Mitchell, right? Like, so the idea would be you're 100% saying that you want Elijah Vera Tucker to be a guard, and so you're getting another backup just in case, right? Because if Mekhi Becton goes down, you can have Max Mitchell slot in at the right side relatively well, and then you have another guy. Because, like, again, we need to take a tackle this draft no matter what, because there's a good to fair chance Mekhi and Dwayne Brown aren't on this team next year at all. And in that case, who's going to play tackle? And that's why you should take a developmental tackle. Because if Max Mitchell is still on the team as a backup next year, fantastic. He can slot in at right tackle, let's say in a year from now, if we don't re-sign Mekhi Becton. But who's going to slot in at left tackle? And Blake Freeland would be a perfect guy to do that. And that's how I look at it. Boom. NY Jets fan 4, well, we could lose Bryce Huff if someone is willing to give us a second round. And if that happens, I'd go get Houston. Yeah, that is true. I just don't know if anyone's going to go get Bryce Huff. I think a lot of Jets fans, including myself, are really, really high on Huff, but I don't think NFL teams are going to be that high on Huff. Remember that it's 1 year of really good production and in a situational pass rush, like third down pass rush mode. And so in a draft that has a lot of really, really good edge talents, I would take the younger guy if I'm the new GM. That's just how I look at it. But you're not wrong. If someone were to say, take Bryce Huff, yeah, James Houston would be great. We don't need a developmental tackle. I disagree with you, Rob V. I can see Blake Freeland, Belichick taking Freeland in the first. 100%. I agree. I like the offensive tackle from and Voorhees from USC. Offensive tackle from Matthew Bergeron is his name. He's pretty good, absolutely. I think the New York Jets should take Andrew Voorhees in the 4th or the 5th round, no matter what. I think you just do it. There is Laken Tomlinson's replacement, Andrew Voorhees. Take him in the 5th. Make it happen. Make it happen. Because when you cut Laken Tomlinson next year and you move Elijah Vera Tucker back to the left side, Voorhees can come in and immediately start. You give him a redshirt year because he tore his ACL. He'll be back next year. Fantastic. And he can immediately start at right guard. And you can keep, I love the idea of taking Voorhees. Love it. Lyle Cole Strange reach. Yep. Lenny's new here. Matthew Smith. He's a troll. I love Matthew Smith. But yeah. Yes, Huff stays a Jet. I agree. Totally agree. Totally agree. Gardner Johnson is still a free agent. That's weird. Nah, because safeties are going to want a lot of money, and people are starting to realize that safeties aren't worth that money. That's just it. How much money does CJG want? What's the rumored number that he wants? 11, 12 a year? I don't want to pay that to a safety. Rob B. Tigo, why would we want another developmental tackle? We have one. Give me a tackle that can play now. Here's the thing, Rob V. What if we can't get a tackle that can play now? What if you can't get a guy in the first round? What if all 3 guys are gone in the first? What do you do then? None of the other guys are ready to start. Everyone else is developmental tackle. A lot of people believe that guys like Anton Harrison and DeJuan Jones can start, Darnell Wright can start, but I still look at them as developmental guys. And so that's why you take a developmental tackle. I'm not saying you take a tackle in the 5th, a real true developmental tackle. But when you look at some of these guys, I have a concern with them playing in our scheme and starting immediately. That's a real concern that I have. So, yeah. Voorhees is AVT2. Absolutely love him. Great call. I love Voorhees, man. I love him. Cansey is probably my favorite player in the draft. I'm hoping we can land him. And I think he'll be there at 13. NY Jets fan 4, this isn't that hot of a take. I truly think that he might be there at 13. And I think that if he is there at 13 and all of the tackles are gone and the Jets can't find a trade partner, that's the pick. Just dead ass. I think that's the pick. Anton Harrison can play right away on some teams. On some teams. And so we're going to have to see, because his skill set, translating over to the Jets, he's still a bit light, and he plays a little, he needs to get stronger. That's the way that I look at it. He still has things that he can work on. And if he comes to our team, he's not going to take Mekhi Becton's job or Dwayne Brown's job. He's not better than either one of those guys. And if both of those guys are healthy, there you go. The real thing is you want a tackle that can take one of those 2 guys' job. None of the tackles in this round are going to take anybody's job. If Mekhi Becton is healthy, he's the best tackle that we have on this team. And if Dwayne Brown is healthy, he's the second best tackle we have on this team. And that's including if we were to take my favorite tackle, which is Peter Skoronski, or if we take Broderick Jones, or if we take Paris Johnson Jr. None of those 3 guys right now, in my evaluation, are going to beat out Mekhi Becton or Dwayne Brown on their jobs. They're going to be backups day 1. What you're hoping for is that they're going to be starters in year 2 and, knock on all of the wood, if something goes down. That's the real thing that you got to look at. What's up, Nathan Cook? I've seen a lot of Green Bay fans want Elijah Moore. I would like to avoid that due to his potential with Rodgers at QB. I totally agree. And Shane McGarry, the other thing that you have to remember is that last year when teams were calling in on Elijah Moore, what was Joe Douglas asking for in return? A first-round pick. And unless they want to do Elijah Moore for Aaron Rodgers straight up, they're not getting Elijah Moore. Correct. Dude, I can't read every comment. What did you say? If your last name is Voorhees, do you not name your son Jason? Maybe. I hate you. Why did I scroll up for that? Oh, man. If JD goes tier 2 FAs for the offensive tackle, Donovan Smith. Like, there are some guys that are still out there. I just did a video of, like, guys that we can bring back in these tier 2 of tackles. Not bring back. Guys that we can get in this tier of tackles that, like, in tier 2 of tackles that can play. Like Isaiah Wynn and George Fant. There are guys out there. Now, the problem is that a lot of these guys have question marks to their games. Can they stay healthy? Like, bringing George Fant back isn't out of the question. And there are things that we can do at tackle that isn't the draft. And either way, it doesn't really change much. Nathan, what do you think the Jets will give up for Rodgers? A second-round pick this year, a conditional fourth-round pick in 2024 that can turn into a third if he plays, can turn into a second if we make the playoffs, and can turn into a first if we win the Super Bowl. There you go. We don't want any rookies starting with Rodgers, but for the long-term franchise stability, I would draft Levitt at 23 and groom and replace Rodgers. We are going to be at the bottom of round 1 for the next 2 years. Here's the problem, Joe. Levis isn't going to make it outside of the top 10. Levis is probably going to be the number 1 quarterback taking this draft or number 2 quarterback taking this draft. People are sleeping on Will Levis, and they shouldn't be. The order of this draft class should go C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young. And they're all going to go in the top 10. I guarantee you. He will not be there at 13 or at 23 or anywhere. He's not going to be there. Drafting a quarterback in this draft, absolutely not worth it. We need to protect Rodgers and go all in on him right now. Why are we going to draft Levis? Levis is a Zach Wilson clone. That's literally what he is. He's a Zach Wilson clone. Same size, same height, same kind of athletic build, same things that we saw on his tape, crazy good arm, all of that stuff. Boom. Tigo, if everybody was so sure about Becton and Dwayne Brown, we wouldn't thinking tackle at 13. Rob V. Who have you heard Joe Douglas or anybody say anything about tackle at 13? No. Who's the one driving the narrative of tackle at 13? The Jets fandom and Jets media. What were Jets media pushing last year too? That we should take a tackle at 4. They said that Ike Ekwonu at 4 was a lock. That if he was there at 4, Joe Douglas wouldn't pass up on him. Well, he was there at 4 and we took sauce. What I'm saying is what the franchise is talking about and internally and what the fans are talking about don't match up. So while we all may want a tackle at 13, if this franchise believes in Becton and believes in Brown, I don't know if tackle is the pick at 13, especially when you have Elijah Vera-Tucker, Max Mitchell, and still some free agents that you can go get at. I'm just saying. And I just finished the back part of your comment, and I see what you said, and you're right. I'm proving your point. Everybody who's talking about Becton and Dwayne Brown, is the fans. It's to everybody. You're right. I don't know why I was arguing with you. We agree. Yeah, we have Bryce over Richardson. I disagree. Richardson over Bryce. I'm not going to trust my franchise to a quarterback that is 5'10 and 185 pounds soaking wet. Imagine you get hit by a Matt Milano running up the middle on you. Your career is over. So I'm taking Richardson over Bryce. Well, the Jets are going to have to give up the first pick. They have no choice. They absolutely do have a choice. We could just not trade for Aaron Rodgers, and then you guys can pay the $60 million and keep him on the bench, I guess. You're going to bench your best player in franchise history? Yeah. Levis or Richardson won't make it past the Raiders at 7. They won't make it past the Falcons at 9. NYY, I don't necessarily agree. The Packers do have some leverage. The Jets have some leverage. But yeah. I don't want to waste a pick on a quarterback. We don't need it. Go get other players. Like, what has JD proven that he can do time and time again? Find players in the later rounds that can absolutely dominate. Look at Michael Carter II. Look at Michael Clemens. Look at Max Mitchell. Look at Jamie Sherwood. These are guys that are being found in the late parts of the round that are coming to this team and absolutely contributing at high levels. We don't and shouldn't be wasting a pick on a quarterback at this point. We're going to get Aaron Rodgers and we have Zach Wilson. People are too quickly and too readily giving up on a guy that has all the talent in the world. He just needs some time. So Bino, chill, relax. Relax. We don't need to draft a quarterback. And let's just look at the history of Rodgers and him missing time so I don't jinx this team. There you go. I wanted Carr over Aaron, I'll admit it. I wanted the security of being able to 100% have Carr over like being like, oh my gosh, Aaron, Joe Grana, Richardson is an elite athlete, not an NFL QB. Sorry. No. You said it wrong. Richardson is an elite athlete who's not an NFL QB yet. You know who else was an elite athlete who wasn't an NFL QB? Patrick Mahomes. You know who was an elite athlete who wasn't an NFL QB? Josh Allen. You get him in the right system, and this is the key point. It's the right system. This draft class is going to be the draft class when it comes to quarterbacks of can the team develop them? That's the real thing. Rob V, look it up. Statistically, he wasn't. They had more interceptions and touchdowns at Texas A&M. He was in that same kind of conversations as Anthony Richardson. Not in the same, because he didn't have the accuracy question. But it's there's the difference. It's elite athleticism and cannon of an arm and all of that stuff. Look at the Becton post. Did he do one recently? Did he do one recently? Or are you talking about the ones like in the bathroom? He does one every day. Every day. I agree, Harlan, 100%. How long ago was that? Was it Texas Tech? It was one of the Tech. There's too many Texas schools. Mike Gesicki did, in fact, go to New England, 100%. The New York Jets sent all of their players to Miami. Miami sent all of their players to New England. And yeah. Jason Zayas, Tigo, would you trade for the Bengals offensive tackle Johan Williams? He requested a trade. They signed Orlando Brown. I would not. Thank you for the super chat so much, Jason Zayas. There's a reason they signed Orlando Brown Jr. And it's because he's allowed 20 sacks over the last 3 years. He is a big reason that Joe Burrow is running for his life. I think he doesn't get moved. I think he moves to the right side, and I think that's where he's going to play, and he's going to stay with the Bengals. Because I don't know who's going to be trading for Johan Williams, Jesus Christ, Johan Williams, whatever his name is going to be trading for Williams because of, like, statistically speaking, his track record isn't that great when it comes to protection and all of those things. He's just doesn't have that great of a track record. Mahomes had something no other young quarterback gets anymore. He sat a year behind Alex Smith, and KC was a good team already. Those bonuses cannot be overlooked. Bino, you missed the biggest part of everything. Okay, so I'm going to reframe your comment, and I'm going to add the one piece that you missed. Mahomes had something that no other young quarterback gets anymore. He sat behind a good quarterback in Alex Smith. He was drafted to a good team in Kansas City who was already good before he got there. And he had an elite, offensive-minded, quarterback-whispering head coach, arguably one of the best offensive minds this game has ever seen in Andy Reid. Those bonuses cannot be overlooked. Bino, that is a great comment. You're absolutely right. There you go. I would. He's better than anyone on my line. Like, you guys are going to get Paris Johnson Jr. at 9. Is it 9? That's the pick you have now, right, Lenny? 9? Yeah. Yeah, that put him in the first round conversation. I didn't compare them. He's not Mahomes. He doesn't have a Mahomes ceiling. I'm saying quarterbacks that had a bunch of question marks to their game coming in. I don't like this comparison game. I'm not saying that Anthony Richardson is Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. I'm saying that their stories are similar. They're quarterbacks that come in and have question marks about their game, but they're elite athletes. That's the point that I'm trying to focus on, is that part. But, like, Mahomes struggled at Texas Tech. Like, there was a lot of things going on. Like, yeah, 5,000 yards and 41 touchdowns. Yes, that's absolutely, but that's not, like, out of this world for college football, is it? Come on. I wasn't evaluating quarterbacks that draft because we decided to take a safety at 6. I also wasn't, like, this invested in football back then. Hypothetically speaking, if it's this year's first and a conditional next year, you'd likely get over it rather quickly. No, probably not. I don't want to give this year's ones up. What if he only plays for 1 year, Andy? I'm giving up a 1 for 1 year of 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Like, I would be upset. Now, if we gave you this year's 1 and then we won the Super Bowl, that's a different conversation because hindsight is 20/20. But I wouldn't get over it that quickly because I would see what happened at the 13th pick. And, like, what happens if we're missing an offensive lineman? What happens if we're missing a defensive tackle in the middle of the season? I'm going to be quite upset, and that's the way that I look at it. I think it's a second-round pick and then a conditional pick. And that's why I think Joe Douglas has kind of dug his heels in the sand, because the 13th pick is so valuable. Being able to trade out of 13 is a big deal. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I agree with you, Rob V. Again, I'm not trying to compare Anthony Richardson to Patrick Mahomes. They are not on the same level. They're not even on the same level as prospects. They're not. But what I'm saying is that if you look at the stories, they're kind of similar. Florida's team, abysmal. Absolutely atrocious. But him as an individual kind of did well. Not as good as Patrick Mahomes, but he kind of did well. And he's got an elite athletic profile. That's what I'm saying. None of these guys, like in this draft, have that ceiling. But like when you look at stories to try to compare them to, that's the way that I look at it. Like he doesn't have a Patrick Mahomes ceiling. No way, no. But when you look at comparable stories, that's what I'm trying to say. Big knock was he couldn't play under center. He was always in the shotgun. How many NFL QBs are under center now? If they are, it isn't often. Well, yeah, because the league adjusted because NFL because of what's the word I'm looking for? Because these college kids were coming out playing the shotgun so much. 100%. Rob, I'm not going to lie, I've seen... Yeah, watch one game of a Florida thing, and you'll be like, Jesus Christ. He's throwing to guys that are like triple covered, and even then, he's hitting them right in the hands, and they can't catch it. Florida was bad this year. Don't let this guy troll you. Who's trolling, TA? I don't know who was trolling. Look at all. Let me know. Even if he plays a year, getting an offensive tackle this year would, and missing on AR would be disastrous. We don't have anyone to throw the ball right now. We can't miss the playoffs again. Raiders might be, they just signed, they literally can't go get him. They just signed Jimmy Garoppolo. They wouldn't be able to fit the contracts in. Like they're out. There's no other team there. And here's the thing that you're missing, Mitch. Aaron has already said he wants to be a Jet. He wouldn't play for this other team. If he came out and said, I'm not playing for any team not named the Jets, then no one's going to come trade for him. I don't get what he's even talking about. Should we be concerned about the Bills? It's too quiet right now. I don't think so. Jimmy, what? Mitch, he is literally under contract. Am I going to have to pull up the Twitter to prove this guy? No, I'm not going to do your job for you. Go to Raiders Twitter, Mitch. He literally signed earlier today. Like, what? Should we be concerned about the Bills? It's too quiet right now. I don't think so. The one concern I have about the Bills, Lisa, is... Thank you for subscribing, Andy. Greatly appreciate it. The one concern I have about the Bills, Lisa, is the Austin Eckler of it all. If I'm being honest. I think they're going to go trade for Austin Eckler. And that's a problem because Austin Eckler's a good running back. But outside of that, I'm not that worried about it, about the Bills. We beat the Bills with Zach Wilson last year. We almost beat them with Mike White in the second game. You're telling me that, like, you're going to give me a... you're telling me that you're going to get a better quarterback play no matter what and more weapons and stuff on the offense and, like, theoretically a better offensive line, our defensive guys on year 2 of the system. Like, there's so many things here that I look at and I go, you know what? Probably not that worried. Now, I'm not saying that they're not a scary team. They absolutely are. But, like, look at last year when we didn't have a quarterback playing under center, and boom. He had his presser and all. Yeah, absolutely. My bad. Earlier today, I heard there was a snag. There was a snag. And I think it was they couldn't get his suit into the building in time. I literally read a tweet that said the thing that held it up was he couldn't get his suit quick enough. They had to go buy him a new one. I don't know if that's true or not, if that was someone just trolling. Because, again, I was scrolling through Twitter while I was trying to get while my baby was feeding. And, like, he started freaking out. And so, yeah. Any team besides Buffalo, I'll be thrilled for Henry. 100%. 100%. I agree with you. I think this is a bit of a stretch, Stu Sr. I think we're 100% probably going to lose our second-round pick. Now, I would commission the statue myself if we gave up. It was just a third. Let's say it was a third and then a conditional fourth. I'd build the statue myself, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Josh sees Salah in his nightmares. I think he just sees Sauce in his nightmares. Shane McGarry, there was a snag yesterday, but it was just got delayed until today. Raiders have Jimmy G now. Yep. Harlan Abraham, for real, that's my concern for my Jets offensive line to protect Rodgers. I agree. Ask Trey Wingo, lol. Ask him what? What am I asking him, Lisa? Did he tweet something? Did Wingo tweet? I haven't been on Twitter today. I needed to take a break from Twitter. Thoughts on picking up Isaiah McKenzie for kick/punt returns? I don't think we should be investing assets right now on a kick or punt returner. I think we've got guys on the team right now that can do it. Elijah Moore returned punts and kicks at college, and he was the backup punt returner/kicker for the team last year. Ty Johnson, I think, is coming back to the team on a 1-year, $1 million deal, Jesse, and he lined up next to Braxton Berrios all of last year to return punts and kicks. Bam Knight can also return punts and kicks. I think we ultimately end up with Randall Cobb on this team. And now this is worst case scenario. The sky is falling, but Randall Cobb can also return punts and kicks. I think we have more than enough guys on the roster right now that can return punts and kicks that I would probably go like Bam and Ty as the 1-2 for your punt returns. And then Elijah Moore is a backup just like he was last year because I don't really want to risk him hurting. And then worst case scenario, Randall Cobb whenever he becomes a Jet. Me too. I needed a break from Twitter. OMG. Man, just my fingers hurt and like all that stuff. Fun. Did you guys see that I was this guy was on the One Jets Drive talking the diehards? Not this face, but that logo. My tweet showed up. Did you guys see it? Minute like 2:48 or something like that. I screamed when I saw it. So freaking cool. McDaniels is literally as bad or worse than Gase. You know what McDaniels is? He's the offensive version of Matt Patricia. He's so bad. Devontae Adams will want out in training camp or June. 100%. I think so too. I can't wait for you guys to get Hard Knocks. Going to be epic. I agree. We should get I think we should get, like, once we get Rodgers, like I'm generally not a fan of Hard Knocks because like it's about teams I don't care about. I watched the Lions one because like I forget their name. Dan Campbell, I think that's his name, right? Is Dan Campbell their head coach? Is so good, so good. I love it. How is Mike McDaniels as bad as Patricia? McDaniels might be worse. Patricia just was like just disrespectful and tried to do the New England way in Detroit, and like it just doesn't work because like no one cares about Matt Patricia's opinion. Josh McDaniels is even worse because like he tries to get rid of guys that don't fit his system instead of he is so gung ho on this is my system. We need players that fit my system. Blah, blah, blah. He's so bad. Wrong McDaniels. Josh McDaniels. You did say Mike. My bad. I'm not talking about Mike. I'm talking about Josh. Vegas head coach. Mike McDaniels is my twin. Okay? I like Mike. I'm not talking about Mike. I'm talking about Josh. My bad. I didn't read. I read McDaniels and I was like, Mike, it was horrible. Mike is not that bad. We still have to see what Mike is, but like Josh is the worst. That's what I'm saying. My bad. You don't pony up for Rodgers, you're going to know Hard Knocks. You're going to know Hard Knocks one more year. I don't know what you're saying there, Mitch, but okay. Yeah, McDaniels is because it's Mike McDaniel, and then Josh McDaniels. Hard Knocks would be as good as the Lions ones if the Jets get it. I agree. And the Lions one was so good. Dan Campbell was I loved it. Low key, every coach in the AFC is good right now. Here's the thing, Mason. I would disagree. Okay, let me not say disagree. Robert Saleh is a great defensive guy, but there's still a question mark on him on whether he can win with this team and take it to the playoffs and all that stuff, right? I love Robert Saleh. I don't want him going anywhere. I want him to be the head coach of this team, but he still has question marks of his game. He still has things that he needs to learn and get better at. We all know that. We all watched the Lions game last year, right? Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. Now let's talk about McDermott in Buffalo. McDermott was given all of the pieces to succeed. They were the Super Bowl favorites last year. And they got knocked out in a divisional round. Okay? Like, that's a problem, right? And now they're not going to be able to load up. And while I'm not saying that he's a bad head coach, because he's not, he's a good head coach, this year is really going to test him because they lost a lot of really good defensive pieces, and them being able to bring back Poyer is insane that they were able to bring him back. But they still lost a lot of good pieces, and Leslie Frazier left. So we're really going to see what he's made of this year. Like, seriously. And let's say they get bumped out of the wild card round this year in the playoffs, because I don't think they're going to win the AFC East if Aaron Rodgers comes to the Jets. Let's say they lose out in the wild card and they're bumped. Does that ownership group in Buffalo not maybe look at maybe we try to bring an offensive head coach to partner up with Josh Allen? Because this defensive guy, yeah, we're having a good defense, but we're not winning games, and you win games on offense. I'm not saying that there is a bunch of concern. But, like, you're telling me that his seat maybe isn't a little warm? They just paid Josh Allen. That team is going to get legitimately, like, they're not going to be able to surround him with all that talent. And that offensive coordinator is not a good one. Like, again, I'm not saying that he's a bad head coach, but I'm not saying that he's this great head coach either. We're still going to be out there and see. Bill Belichick, he's the GOAT, but Cole Strange. I didn't want to have to say it. Cole Strange. Mac Jones. Like, that's 2 back-to-back years, man. That's 2 back-to-back years of bad first-round picks. I'm just saying. And then with Mike McDaniel, like, he was able to create an insanely good offense, but he's attaching himself to Tua, and that might be the downfall of him. That's the thing. Like, that might be his downfall, is that. And Mason, I'm not saying that Cole played badly, but Cole isn't worth a first-round pick. They could have gotten Cole in the second. Look, just straight up. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Maybe. Again, you got to remember, all of these head coaches get fired eventually. Bill Belichick got fired from the Browns. Can you remind me why? Because Bailey Zappi is apparently better? What happens if AR-12 retires? Green Bay will get hit with $40 million salary cap loss. At that point, can't AR unretire and sign with the New York Jets for the same amount? Or is there a time limit on Green Bay having AR's 12 rights? So they would have his rights for the next, like, 6 years, or I think it's for every year that's left on the contract. They get 2 years of control. I don't remember the exact numbers. You're going to have to look that up. But they would have control of his contract for quite some time. And here's the problem with Aaron Rodgers retiring. If Aaron Rodgers retires, he gives up his guaranteed $60 million. Yes, they would get hit with a $40 million dead cap hit and all that stuff, and that's absolutely right. But he would give up the $60 million. What's a better situation is if Aaron just shows up. Because then things get really uncomfortable. Is if he just starts showing up to practice and he's in the locker room and he starts talking and he starts doing his stuff, they're going to want to get him out of there. They want a clean break to Jordan Love. They can't afford to have Aaron Rodgers showing up because he's going to be the better quarterback and they're going to have to sit him. And there it is. Boom. And he got fired from the Eagles. Absolutely. There it is. Shanahan, McVay, McDaniel. Yep. I think what you meant to say is Adam Gase got fired from that high school job that he got after leaving the Jets. Good coaches get fired all the time. Absolutely. OBJ would replace Elijah Moore, who hasn't done anything in the NFL. When you're going for a ring, you need proven players. But here's the problem, Just Win Jets. Elijah Moore was open every play last year. Every single play. If we had a quarterback that could hit the broadside of a barn, he would have had 1,000 yards too last year. Elijah Moore, in his first year, was our best wide receiver and would have hit 1,000 yards. Like, I'm just saying. I am more willing to bet on Elijah Moore than I am willing to bet on OBJ. That was a mutual split with Adam in the high school. That's great, Bino. That's fantastic. Mason, Elijah Moore was purely suffering from poor quarterback play. Absolutely. He has an elite skill set. Go off, chat. Go defend Elijah. I'm with you. If I'm correct, the Jets face the Cowboys this season. Hope we beat America's teams are a slaw. Dude, 100%. And I think that's going to be the Thanksgiving game. I'm being honest. Man. I think so. Who scares you the most out of the AFC East? Buffalo. Yeah, it's probably Buffalo. Miami's defense is still not great. I'm not scared of that defense, especially with Aaron Rodgers and our weapons. And while that offense is lethal, Tua's going to get hurt after a a brisk wind hits him, and then he's going to get another concussion. Mike White is going to step on the grass a little bit wrong, and he's going to break a rib. Skylar Thompson, I'm not scared of. And then when they inevitably have to sign emergency quarterback A.J. McCarron, XFL great, you're going to see that. And so, yeah, there you go. Mason, I have looked at their roster. It's not a matter of their roster. It's the matter that they're introducing a whole new scheme with Vic Fangio, and both of their cornerbacks are coming off of bad years. Like Jalen Ramsey had a bad year last year. Xavier Howard had a bad year last year. He should not have made the Pro Bowl. That was atrocious voting. And so I'm not that worried about that team. Their safeties and linebackers are not a group that I'm super scared of. Yeah, they've got some good pieces on the defensive line, but we've also got Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and Elijah Vera Tucker and, Mekhi Becton and Aaron freaking Rodgers once he's here. I'm not worried about, I think we match up against them really, really well offense to defense. And like I said, when inevitably all of the quarterbacks in Miami get hurt and they're starting A.J. McCarron, I'm not worried about A.J. McCarron either. So, yeah, I'm not scared of Javon Holland. Here's the thing, dude. It's not about Javon Holland being bad. It's not what I'm saying. He's a good player. Is Javon Holland scary enough that, I'm going to be worried when he has to match up against Garrett Wilson? Of course not. Or Elijah Moore? Of course not. Same thing goes for Jalen Ramsey or Xavier Howard. That's my point. I'm not saying that they have a bad team. I'm saying that we match up against their team incredibly well. That's the way that I look at it. I'm not that scared of Jalen Ramsey. I'm not that scared of Xavier Howard. I'm not that scared of Javon Holland. I am kind of that scared of Phillips. What's his first name? Jalen Phillips. That guy's a dog. But other than that, not that worried about it. That's all I'm saying. T.O., leave Mike White alone. If you take a rocket to the ribs, it doesn't count as injury. I'm not. Whoa. NY Cursor. I love Mike White. And for those of you who don't know, and this is going to be my my story time when I'm going to end the stream in 10 minutes. Is about how my football career ended. I'm not talking about the Matt Milano hit. He has started in 8 NFL games and got hurt in 6 of them. You can get put in the injury prone column when you're at that record. Absolutely can get put there. All good. But, okay, if they play in a too high shell, Mason, okay, just throw the ball underneath. We got tight ends that can catch underneath. I think, again, it's not, you asked who I'm more scared of Buffalo's offense. I think our defense outmatches any offense in the AFC East. I'm not scared of any of those teams' offenses. But the real thing is that Josh Allen and Diggs are a legitimate duo. And Josh Allen will play. And I think that they're going to get another wide receiver and a running back there. So that's that. There you go. And I think our offense can match up with any of these defenses with Aaron Rodgers. And there you go. We put 40 up on him last year, and the only players that weren't there were Chubb and Ramsey. We put up how many? Oh, I gotta look it up. Give me a second. I'm going to look it up. Last game of the year. We lost the last game of the year by 7 points. No, by 5 points. And they had Chubb at that time. I don't think Ramsey moves the needle that much for me. So that's my point. Boom. Tigo, can you see us going after D-Hop or Thielen? Report says Jets are pursuing OBJ. I think the Jets are interested in keeping OBJ a prize. I don't think we end up with OBJ. I don't want to be trading assets for a guy like D-Hop while he's great and he has already come out and said that he's willing to restructure his contract. Totally get it, and that whole thing. I don't want to be trading assets. I would love for Adam Thielen to become a New York Jet. He is arguably one of my favorites. Players in the NFL that's not a New York Jet. The problem with it is that his skill set now isn't that great. That's the real thing. That's the thing that I'm worried about. Yeah. But Mason, that's why I didn't go to the 40-17 game. I went to the last game of the year, the 11-6. If you look at the 11-6 game, right? That's the game that I'm looking at. And where we went Joe Flacco versus Skylar Thompson. Both but we started Joe Flacco. Come on, Mason. Come on, Mason. This is equal here. And I'm not talking about their offense. I'm talking about their defense. Their defense wasn't, and the only player that they've added is Jalen Ramsey. And I'm not scared of Jalen Ramsey. The only player that defense added since that game is Jalen Ramsey. You're telling me that an Aaron Rodgers-led football team isn't going to beat that Dolphins defense? Come on, Mason. Come on. Let's be real here. Be honest here. I think that they are. And again, Skylar Thompson is probably going to start like 8 or 9 games next year before he gets hurt and A.J. McCarron starts at like 8 or 9 games. Ooh. Note to self, don't drink tea or like half and half when you're doing a live stream. Tickles the back of your throat a lot. Woo. Alrighty. If you were trading for a 4-time MVP, Super Bowl MVP QB, you'd want no less than a first rounder. Mitch, you want to know why that is one of the worst and the most absurd takes that you've ever had, Mitch? The New York Jets 15 years ago traded for a 3-time MVP with a Super Bowl MVP and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You know how much it cost us to get him? A third. I would implore you, Mitch, to go look up who we traded for and the team that traded him away. You'd be interested to know that one. Just saying, look it up. History repeats itself. And in 15 years, when we're trading for Jordan Love, the same conversation will happen because time is a flat circle. Rodgers is 80-10 when his defense allows less than 20 points per game. Jesus Christ. Look at that. 80-10. Wow. Great point, Tigo. Got far for a third. Mitch, go somewhere else and beg. 100%. Not different times and not different situations. Trade compensation hasn't gone up or down in years, like since the 90s. Trade compensation has been the same for relative players. There are certain outliers that exist, Mitch, in that situation. And a great example of that outlier is like the Jets getting 2 firsts for a safety. That's definitely an outlier in trade compensation. But when you look at trades for quarterbacks and other things like that, the value chart has stayed the same. And to say that the situation is different is absolutely incorrect. The Brett Favre situation and the Aaron Rodgers situation are identical. So there you go. Again, go look up history before you start talking about getting a first-round pick. If the Bills get a legit number 2 wide receiver and a tight end that can catch and play all over like the kid in the combine, Darnell Washington, we are going to have a tough time because our safeties are suspect. The good thing is that we don't ask tight ends to cover the safeties, right? That we don't ask safeties to cover the tight ends. That's what we have Will Parks for, and I like Will Parks versus a tight end. I'm pretty sure Will Parks is like 6'2", 6'3". He's a big boy. I'm going to look it up. How tall is Will Parks? Will Parks. Yeah, 6'1", I was off, but we asked him to cover the tight ends, and he did a relatively good job for us doing that last year. And the other thing is they have a legitimate wide receiver, too. Gabe Davis is getting a lot of disrespect, and he shouldn't. I really, really like Gabe Davis. I think he's really, really good. That being said, I do think they need another tight end. While I like me some Dawson Knox quite a bit, there are some concerns in that room. That being said, I feel really, really comfortable with that. Was Davis a UCF grad? Holy crap, he's from the UC. Man, I know I liked him for a reason. For those of you who don't know this, I am currently a student at UCF. Look at that. You see me in a UCF jersey every once in a while. Look at that. Look at that. Ooh. We're not begging either, Mitch. See, this is a misassociation of the thing. And Mitch, I get what you're doing, right? You want the Packers to get the best package possible because you're a Packers fan. That's absolutely perfectly fine. Of course you're going to ask for the sun and the moon. That doesn't mean that you're going to get it, right? Like, what's a good analogy? Like, okay, I have a small boy, and he likes being held all of the time. But he needs to learn to be on his own. So we put him on the floor, we put him on his playpens, we put him with his toys and all that stuff. And he screams and he cries that he wants to be held, but we're not going to hold him. He needs to be able to hang out on his own, right? And we're right there next to him and we're playing with him, but he wants to be in our arms. And I want him to be in my arms, but I want him to be independent and doing all those things. Just because you want something doesn't mean you're going to get it. And there's a perfect example. You want a first-round pick? Great. No one's going to pay a first-round pick for a 39-year-old quarterback who only might play 1 year. There's no precedent or any kind of anything that set that up. And the New York Jets aren't desperate. Like, I see your argument there. Like, the New York Jets aren't desperate. Both teams are desperate. You guys can't keep Aaron Rodgers on the roster. He's not going to retire, and you're going to have to pay him $60 million. Those are things that you aren't going to do. But now if we look at the New York Jets, we don't have a backup option for the quarterback position. We don't have a backup option for the quarterback position, but we're the only team that's willing to trade anything for him. Both sides have leverage. You can't have Aaron Rodgers coming back. We can't not have Aaron Rodgers on this roster. And there you go. Geno Smith played great last season. You think it was a one-hit wonder? I hope not. I love me some Geno. There's my Geno Smith jersey right there. Woohoo! I love me Geno. I hope not. I really do hope that he has good success. And I really do hope that the Seahawks can get Anthony Richardson so that he can sit behind Geno. I think that'd be a really, really a cool situation for him. So, yeah. I talked about this earlier, Kev, where if we wanted to swap firsts, that was something that I saw, and I was like, I'd be a little bit more interested. Like, I get why they would do that. I just don't see at that point the Packers are giving up value because, like, you wouldn't get. So you're giving up Rodgers to move up 2 spots and to get. And here's the thing: we can't move Uzama at all because of that contract. We just restructured that contract. We can't get out from under that pretty big dead cap hit. So, like, they would get Mims or more. And while I wouldn't want to give Mims or more away, like, if that's what it came down to, so you're moving up 2 spots and getting a wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. I think I would rather get the second round pick this year and the conditional pick next year because I think it's more valuable in my eyes. But if that's what they want to do, I'm cool with it. All right. There you go. See? Absolutely. But like AR, like that's not like NY Cursor. This isn't a like he can like if he comes back and he shows up back up, whoo. There it is. See? So here's the thing, Stu. We have our boy, and my wife is actually currently pregnant with another boy. So hashtag boy dad. Alrighty. Guys, we're going to end the stream with story time, all right? And then we're going to end the stream. Thank you, everybody who hung out. Here's some story time. If you're in here, there are 132 of you in here. If you haven't hit the sub button, hit it. We are 16 away from 2,200. Let's see if we can get there before story time is over. We're going to talk about how Matt Milano ended my football career ever. I do need a mod, 100%. But I don't know. I just let the trolls go. I can mod and do that stuff. We're not at a place where we totally need a mod yet. But let's talk about it. For those of you who don't know, I live in Florida. And one of the schools here in Florida that I attended was called Dr. Phillips. Now, if you don't believe me, you can look this up. Dr. Phillips has actually 2 NFL stars that I know about. I know, Dark. Clinton Dix was He left the school right as I went in, so there's a Dr. Phillips alumni. And then, following that up, when I was a freshman, he was a junior, I believe he was a junior. I think he was a junior or a senior, I don't remember. Was Matt Milano. He went to my high school. And when I was a freshman, I was actually pretty good at football, guys. If you don't know this, I was a quarterback. I was a short quarterback in high school. And at that time, I was starting to transition away from football and into lacrosse because I had D1 offers in lacrosse as a freshman where I had no type of offers or wasn't even getting sniffed at as a football player. And I didn't think that a short football player, because I didn't hit my growth spurt yet, was going to happen. So I started on the JV team as a freshman, was pretty unheard of. And at practice one day, absolutely, NYY, got it. You probably heard this story somewhere else, but I didn't tell this story on the Jets channel. Matt Milano came busting up the middle. Coverage absolutely blew up. I didn't see him, and I absolutely got my ish rocked. Cracked a rib. Woke up on the sideline. And like the plays were still... I woke up on the sideline. And boom. Woke up and I was like, where am I? What's going on? Jesse P, thank you so much for hitting the subscribe button. And yeah, that's my story. I walked off the field, walked into the locker room, took off my pads, walked over to the head coach, handed him my jersey, and walked away with my bags packed. And I went to go play lacrosse. And then, my senior year, my knees blew up, and I lost all of my D1 offers. And then I went to the Navy because I didn't want to go to college. And there is my story. Matt Milano, who ended Mike White's season for the New York Jets and forced us to play Joe frickin' Flacco, ended my football career in high school. How crazy is that? Such a small world, right? And I didn't realize it was Matt Milano at the time, obviously. But like later when he went to Boston and he got drafted, I was like, why do I know that name? And I looked at my yearbook and there he was, Matt Milano. Look it up. So, absolutely NYY. Mike White in the situation 12 years ago. I was the one who showed Matt Milano how to do the hit to Mike White. You could say that Matt Milano T-go'd Mike White. That's a thing you could probably say. Yeah. T-go, I was a high school quarterback and played D1 lacrosse. Look at that. That's awesome, man. Where'd you go play D1 lacrosse at? I had a couple of offers. I had a couple places that I was going to go to. Though I had one offer that I had no business having this offer, but my uncle at the time, he divorced my aunt, so he's not really my uncle at the time, is an alumni. And he somehow finagled by just throwing school at the money to get me an offer from Notre Dame. I was not good enough to play on that Notre Dame team. I had no business having that offer. But yeah, I got a D1 offer from Notre Dame. I was going to go to Notre Dame. I was going to go do it. Because that would have been freaking awesome. But, yeah, my knees blew up. Both of them. And so I went to the Navy. There you go. I went to two schools. Went to Rutgers first. Got kicked out. Law, then Albany. There you go. Look at that. That's freaking awesome, man. Alrighty, boys, girls, guys, gals, non-binary pals, all of the in-between. Thank you so much. My football career ended with a 400-pound right tackle stepping on my foot. Ooh, that sucks. Thank you so much for hanging out, guys. Hey, if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, go and hit the subscribe button. We're 12 away from 2,100 and would be awesome to be able to hit that. We are over 100 likes. Thank you so much for hitting the like button. Guys, remember, we're going to be back here next Friday. Same stream, same time, 9:30 every Friday. We're going to start having guests and other people coming on to hang out and doing all that stuff. Thank you so much for hanging out. Hopefully next week on Friday, we can talk about the Aaron Rodgers trade. Guys, thank you for being a part of the stream. Thank you for being a part of the Talking Jets with Tigo family. If you want to support in a different way, hit the join button down below. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can help support the channel and join the Talking Jets with Tigo Navy and have some cool emotes that you can spam in the chat. That's all I got for you guys. I'm going to go to bed because I'm going to have a screaming he's not 6 anymore, 9-month-old. Oh my gosh, he's growing up so fast. I'm going to have a screaming 9-month-old in my face in about 6 hours. I need to go get some sleep. I also need to go edit the video that's going to be uploaded for tomorrow. I got a long night ahead of me. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for chatting. Thank you so much for hitting the like button on your way out. And last but not least,